Hello, this is Complete Canadian. We're doing the Pumpkin Cup recap. I'm here with Meepstir and Tasnica,
Hey there.
Hello, hello.
and yeah, I guess we'll just start on the pre-game thoughts and like why you guys picked your countries and stuff. What about you, Meepstir?
Yeah, so if you can just zoom into Ming a little bit there. I think actually a lot of why I picked my country has a large part of how my game ended up going. So I was kind of looking around at all the powers on the maps, and what I was looking for in the Pumpkin Cup was kind of a move set that I could come in there and not have a lot of uncertainty with. And feel that like no matter what happened, I was going to be strong and I was going to be in a position to do well. And the other part of it was that I'd seen no Mings successful in any of my games that I've played at any point. Every single one I've been in, Ming gets destroyed. I'm usually a part of that, honestly, but I've never seen them do well. And so I was kind of interested to see if I could make something different. And when I was looking at Ming, I noticed that as Ming, you can actually deny Bamo unilaterally to both Ayu and Mughals. Also, the stream's paused right now, for me at least. Um,
I'm just
but
not
yeah,
moving around.
okay. But yeah, so if you look in there, um, Ayu pretty much always needs to send Chiang Mai up to Ava. And the Mughals have other options for Sasaram. They can take Kathmandu first year, so they don't necessarily need Bamo if they're doing some normal stuff like tapping Hyderabad, for instance. So I kind of saw this and was like, well, as Ming, I can send Kunming to Ava, and then I can send Chengdu to Ringpungpa. And I can tell Mughals, and I can tell Ayutthaya that I'm just putting the foot down. No one's getting Bamo this year, and they'll take Kathmandu. Ayu will get Ava in the fall, so everyone will get their neutrals. But we end up in this situation where I'm able to move up Kunming to Rinpoongpa and Chengdu to Zinning without. And what's really good about that is that I think it leaves Kunming open for a build because there's so many possible options as Ming that aren't that, where either like say you don't bounce anyone out, they have the ability to force into Kunming. Or if you let one in the spring, then they can try and snipe it. Or maybe you have to cover Kunming and then you're not getting a build and suddenly everything just sucks for you. So I really wanted to be able to get those two builds down in the south. And so I came in here really with a very particular moveset in mind, I'll say.
All right. How about for the fleets in the north?
Oh yeah. So the fleets in the north were kind of a as a power, I mean, it was very difficult because I was definitely focusing on the land campaign. I kind of saw the fleets as more an opportunity to be a junior partner in either or Qing or Tokugawa, depending on how things went. Um, and really like that alongside having to duel the Dutch as well. I really wasn't looking for a lot of growth out of these at the beginning, at the very least. I was just hoping that I could kind of maintain my position and not necessarily need an explosive opening. Um, and there's some foreshadowing there, but just kind of keep the peace there, not try not to make any enemies, and yeah, just let my plan in the inland parts kind of work its magic, and then maybe I can circle back to that. At least that's what I was thinking going in. Um, Taz, or do we want to
Yeah,
start with Toku then, because it's in the same kind of
yeah, that
area?
makes sense. Go
Yeah,
for it.
we can
Yeah.
switch to me. Yeah, so I ended up getting Toku here. The reason I ended up picking this one first because the last game I played, I got Athapaska, and I ended up getting landlocked and had a really shitty game, and it was just boring as hell for me where I was only talking to like four people. So I wanted to pick a nation where like you have a lot of different neighbors, a lot of different directions. Like I can go to NPO and expand that way. I can try to expand in the mainland south. Just more dynamic where I didn't feel like I was so locked into a strategy. Because the last time I also went into the game and I had like a whole game strategy before it even started, like who I had to attack and who I had to kill, when I had to do it and stuff. Here, I just decided to go in more free, open minded. Like I was willing to kind of work with whoever I was vibing with. If I vibed with Ming, if I vibed with King or Ching, Inuit, like anyone. I was just gonna be open minded, expand where I thought expansion was good, and yeah. For year one, my initial opening was sorry about the terrible drawing too. This is like my first time using this app, so I'm so fucking bad with it. But I was going for something like this. All these arrows look terrible too. So so if Ming or Salt here, who is playing as the Dutch, went to Ryuku and he tried to bounce me out on the second turn. If I went anywhere else, he couldn't. So I would be able to just take Kyushu for sure. If Ming wanted to come to East China Sea or something like that, then I told him that I would cut Ryuku with Kyushu. So like we would both just go down to 3 and neither of us would get a dot. But if he were to open to Kiangtang or Yellow Sea, then I would just go for Bonin instead, and like we'd both be able to get a good. Maybe not. Yeah, it would depend on you if you double up, but I'd be able to double up there for sure. We were also talking about. I guess we should wait until year one before we start going into that.
Yeah, I figure.
I'll swap over to Tasnica too. But that was like the
All right.
initial idea there.
So for my pregame stuff, I ended up playing Poland in this game, which was my second choice after Russia. Russia, I thought, was kind of an underrated power, and I did like a bunch of research into how to do well as Russia. But while doing that research, I studied Poland quite a bit in the process, since they were neighbors and all. And I found Poland really interesting. Poland has not had the greatest track record, especially in the lead up to this particular game. And I was curious as to whether that's just because Poland is not a very good power on that map, or if just kind of the standard ways of playing Poland aren't especially successful. So I went into playing Poland with the intention of trying different things and attempting strategies that were a bit unorthodox, but hopefully would be successful for the power. And one of the things that I focused very heavily on was my colonies. Poland is like a semi-colonial power. You've got your 5 center Europe and 2 1 center colonies in Africa and the Caribbean. By the way, I can't see the stream currently. Oh no, I can see it again. Okay. So you've got these 2 1 center colonies. Now Poland, since the victory requirements scale based on your starting size, Poland needs 42 centers to win, which is a big jump from the smaller powers like Tokugawa, and is almost as high as powers like Ottoman. Only 6 centers less than Ottoman, despite having 3 less units. So you need a lot of centers. And as anyone who's played Austria or Sweden knows, it is very hard to get 32 centers in Europe. So the colonies have to be successful, in my opinion. If I completely lose either colony, I am almost certainly not winning this game. I might do okay, but reaching the 42 is just mathematically very difficult. So that was essentially my top priority. I cannot afford to completely lose either colony. Europe is a bit on the back burner. not only is it kind of difficult to grow there, especially to very large sizes, but it's also kind of hard to completely kill me. I've got 5 cores. They're all fairly close to each other. So even if I do kind of poorly in Europe, I could still bounce back. It's unlikely that I get wiped out entirely. And if I do, my game is probably not in a winning position anyway. So yeah, I went in being I need to focus heavily on the colonies. I need to keep them alive at all costs. And Europe is just more opportunistic, try to see what I can make happen.
All right.
Okay.
I guess should we go to the year 1 map, or do you guys want to talk about moves?
You're one press, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should probably go through what each of us thought of our neighbors.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I was in a really interesting situation. I guess it was expected given that it's a smallish community, but I actually knew every one of my neighbors. I'd played with them in a game at least, which was a new thing for me. Usually I have someone that I don't know, but I mean, Canadian, you were on Toku, Salt was on the Dutch. I played with Penguin on Portugal before, Ezio on Ayutthaya, Aulis I've talked with on Mughals, and then Quick was on Russia. And so I knew all these people. I had played with them. They generally knew my playstyle. So I was kind of excited, I guess, to not be coming here blind. And I kind of started burning some of that goodwill I had with some of these players almost immediately, unfortunately. As is probably reasonable to understand, players don't like being told unilaterally what's going to happen. So I basically tell Ezio at the very beginning, I am going to be bouncing Ava here. And frankly, I think this is a very understandable move from me. I don't really think it's something that's very surprising. I think it's that you kind of hope that you're able to get into Ava scot-free because, oh, maybe they need to bounce Bamo or maybe they're doing something else. But I think it's a really reasonable thing. But Ezio and IU were Ezio was very upset. And I heard that through multiple people. So that wasn't good. And then when I tried to do the follow-up for my plan and tell Mughals that tried to tell Mughals that I want Bamo neutral and that they should go for Kathmandu. I think I even tried to convince them to go to Gondwana to try and force Hyderabad or something. But they just weren't having it. And also I'm hearing in that same press that Mughals isn't actually bouncing Hyderabad, which was kind of really shocking to me. I think it's a very normal move for Delhi to go to Hyderabad, which means that it's out of contention for really having any conflict in the Ming-Ayut triangle there. So because they told me that they were going to Bamo and that they really wanted Bamo, they weren't having any of the neutral stuff, and because I knew that they weren't sending Delhi to Hyderabad, I was really worried that they were going to make something work where they sent Delhi to Sasaram and Sasaram to Bamo, and then I can no longer do the punch Bamo out thing. Because as Ming, you're kind of backup for forcing this neutral Bamo or Ming Bamo is that you're able to knock Bamo out in spring or in fall, I mean. But I never made that clear to Aulis, I think, to Mughals, because I was worried that he was going to follow up. And really, I probably should have here, because it'll set some stuff up later. But so I make kind of bad relations with both of these neighbors down there. Up on the other side of the board, things are going much better, I'd say. I'm talking with Ching. Ching is really great. I like talking to Star. Press is going great with Canadian. And Press is going fine with Salt. I'm a bit wary of Salt because he's stabbed me in the back a billion times. But, he's still a player, and I enjoy talking to him. And so I kind of get in this situation where I'm thinking that as the situation in the south deteriorates, I'm starting to think I might not be able to have as slow of a game as I would have liked. I would have liked, obviously, I want to double here and getting two, and that helps with everything. But as press with Canadian goes, he is not going to let me take Kyushu for free, unfortunately. Um, and which means that I'll be locked to a +4 unless I can figure out someone to attack. And so as I go through my options, I have this choice I want to make on whether I go anti-Qing, anti-Toku, or whether I go anti-Dutch. For Toku, it really didn't make a lot of sense. It relies on the Dutch helping me, and I didn't trust Salt all that much. Because I think honestly his best play here is to support me into Kyushu to buy trust and then attack me in the back, and try and get Toku on side as you grow a kind of like 3-dot colony over here, which I had no intention of helping him succeed in getting Nanking or something of that nature. So I didn't like the attack Toku plan. The attack Dutch plan was all right. It wasn't terrible. I could have gone to Chanting and then, or even East China Sea, and then gone to Ryukyu after. But as I'm doing that, I'm starting to worry about where to Salt retreat. Kind of what does he start doing? Like, if he's getting attacked this early on, he could put down another fleet and then he could flip Toku on me. And that starts a kind of chain reaction where because I'm weak in the south, I can't really afford that. And so it kind of leaves me with just Qing as the option here. Because Qing is kind of I can't remember what her press was like, but it was a bit different than the average press, which made me think that maybe she's going to have some problems with other people. I enjoyed the press, but press being different is definitely something that sets you apart and not always in a positive way. So I'm kind of thinking maybe I wouldn't be pissing off as many people. Russia is pushing me to go into Qing. Toku is obviously encouraging me to attack Qing because it's a good play. And so I kind of decide that Qing here is makes the most sense to attack. And I figure that if I'm having such a difficult time in the south and I'm going to need strength, then I can't kind of be mucking about and doing half measures. So I decide to send both fleets at Qing with hopefully the intention of getting 2 dots out of this. But yeah, so that's what press is going like at that time.
All right.
And a little into moves. But yeah, Canadian?
Yeah. So my press was also really good year one. Like I had good press with Meepstir here. While we were making that plan to go after King or Ching, which I was happy about. I did hear about that Salt mentioned that he was trying to go for Kyushu, and then Meepster mentioned it too. And that's where I came up with the plan where I said I was gonna cut Ryukyu if he went for it. But that didn't end up happening. I also had really good talks with Ching and stuff. I felt like if I really wanted to, I probably could have worked with her. And after Ming did attack her in spring, she came to me and she wanted to work with me pretty badly. So that was like a option I was happy to have. Inuit up here, I had good talks with, but there's like nothing too serious for year one. It's kind of just obvious he goes to Koryak, so I go for like Ainu or something. On the other side of the map, because the Pacific does matter. Like I also had good chats with Athapaska, Uch Shoni, Spain and Dutch. Oh, I also had good chats with Tanglewood down here, who in Aymara. We obviously all won with Tanglewood and Ambrosius down here, so we actually had a 5-way chat between the three of us plus these two guys right at the beginning, and we were pretty much immediately talking about working together against the colonials and stuff. We got like Spain and Dutch kind of here in South America where it affects Tasnica, Tanglewood, and Ambrosius. And then obviously me over here, I have Spain and Dutch to my south that I have to work against. Ming also is a little less connected from this, but he still has Portugal and Dutch here to deal with. So that was
Yeah, I'm
like a
curious.
interest.
Would you say the ICI chat forming early had an impact?
I think
on the
so, because
early game.
Yeah.
we all kind of confirmed it immediately, like, oh yeah, Salt and KOP are working together.
Yeah, that was huge.
And then that also made me want to work with Meepstir actually more, because I figured like if down the line like I end up if Tanglewood does good, or Garani or you or anything like that, like I didn't want to immediately stab Meepstir and then be like the guy the first one to
The
stab
bad
anyone
guy in
in
the
the
chat.
alliance. So I was like, I'll
Yeah.
let them fucking screw around before I go for that.
Yeah, I definitely felt the same with the group chat. It obviously was just funny, and it's kind of like you Taz sending in like the how much we collectively were plus each turn.
Yeah.
But like it was just like it definitely biased me towards being pro Toku, and the press didn't. Me and Toku's press did not hurt that biasness towards. So yeah, just keep the good times rolling, I guess.
Yeah, the really fun thing about the center count updates in the ICI chat is that they only go positive if we don't stab each other. Because any dots we take from each other cancel each other out. So if you want the number
Yeah.
to go up, you have to stab other people.
Yeah. And no ICI member ever stabbed another ICI member in this game, which is a really fun thing.
It was great.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's pretty much my opening moveset there. I felt like it pretty much guaranteed me +4. Obviously here I just go for Fuson. We were doing the triple Korea split apparently, even though that wasn't the real plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously. And then here I had the chance to go for Ryuku. I guess I'll talk about that in fall. But this gave me the option to either go for Ryuku or Tabonin, whichever one I wanted, right? Oh, that doesn't look right. This program. Anyway, yeah. Salt, I told him I'd let him keep Ryuku, and I was trying to make that like a relationship I could possibly keep. Like I was here, let me get this off the screen. I was telling him like eventually I want to work with him and like attack Spain or something in the Philippines, or we can like go against Ming or something like that. Like I'll just leave him on these 2 dots if he just doesn't bug me, and we can go do something else. But yeah, I'll go to Tasnica now.
All right, Poland. So yeah, my neighbors in this game are interesting. So in Russia, we have Quicksand, who I played with before in ICI, but our relationship was pretty soured. I was a year 1 sub in that game. In fact, I think fall, like really, really early sub. And I basically sub into a position where Quicksand is already stabbing me, and he kind of just continues stabbing me for the next several years of the game, and then subs out. So that was my first impression of them. I'm like, that's not really fair. I should give him a clean slate and see how things go when we're actually playing together from the very start. Then in Ottoman, we have Cassandra, who I've kind of neighbored in the past, but not nearly as closely as Poland Ottoman. Cassandra has a reputation for being a very skilled player and also a very stubborn player, who you do not want to be her enemy. So my primary goal with her is to basically try and make a stable border and hope she forgets I exist. Just draw as little attention to myself as possible, be chill and friendly, and do not become her target. I've lost the stream again.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like whenever you change applications or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's not letting me grab it and move it either. I don't know this shit.
Hey, it's a learning experience for all of us. This is the learning game, right? We all came here to learn how to play diplomacy.
This is the mentor game.
Speaking of, we have our number 1 IDR player, at least at some point during this game, and maybe it changed. Luxon as Austria. I never played with Luxon before. He had a rather fierce reputation as being extremely tactical minded, not at all relationship minded. He plays to win, period, and will be absolutely ruthless in his quest to get there. So I was pretty wary of him. He did not seem like the type of player that would be especially amenable to a game-long alliance and, being best pals forever. So definitely an early concern. And then Sweden, we had KMP, who apparently has been a known figure in some other diplomacy variants and been rather successful with them. But I knew basically nothing about him and I never played with him before. Other than the fact that, Sweden and Poland tend to have a rather tenuous relationship. I think it's slightly overblown how much they have to fight, especially in newer versions of Imperial Diplomacy, but it's still a tense relationship at the very least. And I was kind of hoping the fact that he was new to this variant would make him more open to something other than Poland and Sweden death war each other. We'll see how that goes. So in press, from my research of Russia in the pregame of like how to play Russia, I had concluded that Russia and Poland don't really want to fight early on, and that Russia and Ottoman don't really want to fight early on either. That it's just not particularly beneficial. And I was hoping that since Quicksand presumably first picked Russia, because I first picked Russia and didn't get it, that he would see this too and be like, oh, I need to focus on Sweden or the East or Safavid or, something other than going west immediately. And that if he didn't want to do that, that I could convince him. So I'm like, hey, we should have a triple with Ottoman. The Black Sea will kind of be like the neutral lake between all of us. We can all chill and go in opposite directions. It'll be great. I go to Ottoman, Cassandra, and she is fully on board with this idea. So on board, in fact, that she is willing to let me have Jassy and Ochakiv year one. And basically put me squarely between her and Russia. Which ends up being a good thing for her because Russia really wants to fight Ottoman, at least in his press with me. He's like, we should fight Ottoman together. That'd be a really good idea. And I'm like, we shouldn't fight Ottoman. You should go in different directions. We should all be a triple instead. So some players have given Cass a hard time for letting me have Ochakiv especially. But the fact that it put me between her and a Russia that actively wanted to coalition her early in the game was probably a pretty smart move.
Yeah, buffers are never bad.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll have a close ties with Ottoman. That'll hopefully make it so that Russia does not want to fight both of us. And goes in other directions, whether he's super enthusiastic about it or not. So yeah, I opened Ochakiv, and then in order to get to Jassy, I send, was it Warsaw? Yeah, I send Warsaw down to Ruthenia, so they can reach Jassy. Ruthenia is also an extremely important defensive place for me as well. It borders 3 of my cores. I need to protect it. Austria comes to me early on and is like, hey, you're not going to Ruthenia, right? I'm like, I can't promise that. Ruthenia is important to me. So I do move there with support. So that it's basically a guaranteed sure thing. I tell Austria, I'm not attacking you. It's going down toward neutrals. But it is an important spot for me. Sorry. And again, I know that Austria isn't like a super relationship-based player. Like, he doesn't super care if you're extra nice to him or do him lots of favors. If you're a target, he'll go after you. And if he's the target, he'll try to avoid becoming the target. So I'm not especially going out of his way to to charm him. You know, I'm fairly open and upfront about things. Then in the north, I decide to pocket Königsberg because I'm being experimental as Poland. I'm being opportunistic in Europe. And I'm like, I can really, really easily get Königsberg year 2. Like, it is super hard for anyone to deny that to me. I'm just going to go grab other centers and establish presences elsewhere and give myself opportunities in the future. So I basically ignore it entirely. I have Wono go north to Courland, and I begin negotiating with Sweden. And Sweden really, really wants me to not open to Baltic Sea, which in my initial analysis of openings for Poland, I was tempted to do. Opening to Baltic Sea is a very good opening for Poland for 2 reasons. 1, you don't want Sweden in there. 2, whether you get in or bounce, or basically no matter what Sweden does, you will still be next to a neutral center come fall. Because the fleet Gdansk is already next to 2 neutrals. And one of those neutrals also borders Baltic Sea. So if I get in, I could attack Sweden or just turn right back around and grab a neutral in Brandenburg. If I bounce, I've got options. There's basically no downside to me moving there. Except that Sweden's like, hey, if you don't go to Baltic Sea, you can have Riga in the fall. And I'm like, oh, well, that sounds pretty good. Okay, I'll agree to this. I then, when Russia asks me a bit later, hey, what's going on with Riga? I tell them that I've made a deal with Sweden so that I get it. My reasoning for this is to be beneficial for both me and Sweden. I'm thinking that if Russia believes that me and Sweden have Riga all worked out, he won't bother sending an army west to try to contest that whole thing. He'd just pick a fight with one or both of us to gain nothing. Whereas if he knows that me and Sweden have Riga worked out, the best play for him is to just go the heck away and hope that we fight each other later, is what I'm thinking. And I end up being partially correct in this. Russia does indeed just GTFO with his army and send it out east. However, he also presses Sweden and complains to him really, really hard about making this deal with me. And this is where me not having any prior knowledge of Sweden bites me for the first time. Because Sweden freaks the heck out that I told Russia about this deal. Despite the fact that it would become evident pretty soon anyway, and in my opinion, benefits both me and Sweden for Russia to know about this. But Sweden doesn't see it that way. He likes controlling information. Or at least when other people control information. We'll see how well he controls his own information later in the game. But Sweden just has this huge reaction to it. And I basically have to spend most of the phase like calming him down about being this horrible leaker who can't be trusted with information. I'm tempted to go to Baltic anyway, but I think by the end of the phase that I've settled things enough that we're back on track, and that, hey, maybe this will be a bonding experience, you know? I'll like, oh, hey, sorry, man. Now we understand each other. In the future, you know, we'll do things your way and keep things close to our chests. The other reason why I don't end up going to Baltic is I want my fleet to end up in Lubeck. There's a couple reasons for this. One is that a fleet in Lubeck is just generally useful. It borders a bunch of nice stuff and means I can put an army in Brandenburg in the fall. And also because I make a deal with Salt. Salt being the Dutch player, obviously has a kind of stabby reputation. So I'm like, okay, I want to find a way to work with Salt. How can we set things up so that Salt can't stab me? because that's really the best circumstance to work with Salt, right? He can be a good guy to work with if he doesn't stab you. So just take the other option out, and he's a good guy to work with. So the deal we make is that Salt is going to get Bremen, but he takes it with a fleet. And similarly, I take Lübeck with a fleet. Now, due to the terrain, fleets in Bremen and Lübeck can't affect each other, but they can both affect Kiel. So the goal is that me and Salt will both in positions where we have the option of working together against Sweden, but we can't stab each other. The fleets just don't touch. So I'm like, okay, this is perfect. And yeah, that's basically my opening negotiations for Europe. Let's go down to Africa.
All right. There we go.
So the first of my 1-dot colonies. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the game, Poland has 3 theaters, and in my opinion, needs to win all 3 of them. Which is tricky because 2 of those theaters start with just 1 dot. Now, fortunately, I have a little bit of experience with this because I started the Pumpkin Cup fresh out of the World Chaos game, which I believe both of you also played in.
Yep.
Where everyone starts with 1 dot, and it is chaos. I even played in West Africa as Mali, which is now Degen in this map. So I'm like, you know what? In honor of that, I should take Mali. And Poland can just be Mali. I can be regular Poland, I can be Mali, and I can be some Caribbean regional, all in the same game. Degen is obviously a very good spot. Not only is it a supply center, but it borders a whole bunch more. And just gives me tons of diplomatic options because I can support people, I can be supported by people. It's just an incredible situation to be in. Now, the one problem is that there's another center next to me, Ndakaru. And France is next to it. And if France opens there, he has the option of just walking into Jacob Fort in the fall. I lose my core. I can't build. My colony is down to 1 unit and no cores. My colony is probably dead.
Yeah.
And remember, my win condition for this game, in my opinion, is to not lose my colonies. I have to keep them alive at all costs. So I press the heck out of France, basically making any deal I can to ensure that he does not end up in Ndakaru. And after a whole bunch of negotiation, I eventually succeed. And how I succeed is I do a whole bunch of press with Portugal and convince him to let France have Uolata. France gets Uolata, Portugal gets Ijol, and in exchange for all of this, I tell Portugal that not only will I help him if France stabs him later, but I will support him into Niani this fall in case England tries to bounce him out. So yeah, I'm immediately tied up in all these colonial politics for the sole purpose of making sure that I get Ndakaru next year. Because then I control both centers next to my core. My colony is stable and not easy to immediately wipe off the map. Things are great. Or at least, I hope they'll be great. Over to Caribbean. So New Courland. Oh, hey, look, another 1 center colony. another chaos game that I have to win, in addition to my other games. So, and also once again, very similar to Africa, I start next to 2 neutral centers, Caracas and what is that, Barbados? Yeah, Barbados. In my opinion, I need both of them because if someone else gets those centers, they're going to want to keep a fleet there. And if they keep a fleet there, that means they can just kind of walk into New Courland whenever they feel like. Unless I garrison New Courland, but that's my only core, which means I can't build.
Mhm.
So, needless to say, I need to keep other people out of these places at all costs if I'm to have a stable and secure Polish colony, which, again, in my opinion, I need in order to win. So I'm like, okay, which of these centers do I go for first? Negotiations with England and France start off great. They're both willing to let me have Barbados. They're just like, yep, Barbados is yours. Awesome. I don't have to worry about that. What about Caracas? Spain's like, yeah, I might go to Caracas. I need to see how their stuff goes. And I'm like, well, I need Caracas. It's important to me. Just so you know, I'm planning to move there. And Spain's like, all right, well, I'll keep you posted on my plans. But just so you know, I might want Caracas. Now, Spain taking Caracas is very bad for me, in my opinion. I don't want a Spanish unit in Caracas just hanging out there for the rest of the game, being able to stab me whenever he feels like. Especially since the Spanish player is King of Prussia, who is an extremely ambitious player. On top of that, my read from the press early in the game is that Spain really, really cares about his American colony, this theater, particularly the Caribbean. He wants the Caribbean. He wants to do very well in the Caribbean. He wants to invest stuff into the Caribbean. And more importantly, the way he talks about my colony as kind of minor and expendable and, not a big deal. I
Not
get
what
the
you want to be
impression,
hearing.
yeah, I get the impression that he does not see me as a long-term partner in the region whatsoever.
Yeah.
He sees me as a temporary tool at best, or dessert at worst.
Yeah.
This is made even worse by the fact that I'm also suspicious of the Dutch player. They opened the game like really curious about my press with Spain, but in a way that's like, it feels kind of performative. Like they're not asking about Spain in the, hey, let's work together in Spain sense. They're asking about Spain in the, what can you tell me that I can pass on to Spain?
Yeah.
And this feeling is amplified by the fact that from very, very early on in the game, there are rumors going around of a Spanish-Dutch alliance. Now, there are a couple reasons for these rumors. One is that it's just a fairly powerful alliance in general. Most colonial duels are, but Spain and the Netherlands can work pretty well together. Second, King of Prussia and Salt have a very good rapport with each other. They're both very skilled players that have done a bunch of videos together. They play a lot of games together. They even did a video for the Pumpkin Cup where they made a tier list of all the players and discussed them all. And the tier list was kind of propaganda-y feeling,
Yeah.
where all the S tier players seemed like the people they wanted to have targets on their backs. Basically, it didn't feel very objective.
Yeah.
So all these factors together make me very suspicious of the two of them working together. Which would obviously be very bad for me. Because if they're working together, my options are either to triple with them, in which case I'm the third wheel and I inevitably get cut out. And again, getting cut out means I lose my colony, which means I lose the game. Or they're working together, but I find a way to turn this against them. I decide to take the latter option, where I, I try to keep good press with both of them in the early stages. But I do that press with the assumption that they are talking to each other, that they are sharing information, that they are most likely already on the same page, and if not aligned against me, then not, particularly prioritizing my interests at all. And I also start going to lots of other players in this game, especially Guarani, who is already spreading these sorts of rumors and may have even been the origin of them. And I'm like, hey, we need to spread the word far and wide of this Spain-Netherlands alliance. Because whether it exists or not, it's really good for people to believe it exists. Because people believe it exists, then these powers both start facing a whole ton of pressure. Which is good for me because I need pressure on colonials for my colonies to succeed, especially colonials who want to expand in the same places that I want to expand in. So yeah, I push this narrative pretty hard. Other players push it hard right back at me. There's a lot of mutual reinforcement going on. Word starts spreading that Spain especially is being extremely ambitious and demanding in its press with people. And a whole number of players kind of make kind of an unofficial pact of sorts to all stand up to Spain together. Basically, the idea is that if he tries to just push us around through brute force, which as a colonial he can do, he will succeed if only one or two people actually oppose him. He will just brute force his way to get what he wants. But if 3 or more people all oppose him and cause him trouble, that starts generating momentum in the opposite direction. It can't be sustained. And I believe Aymara, Ut, France, I think there's 1 or 2 other people, but those 3 for sure, and a couple others, were all kind of in this unofficial, yeah, let's all stand up to Spain and not roll over for whatever he demands. So when Spain near the end of the phase tells me, hey, yeah, I'm going to take Caracas whether you like it or not, I tell him in turn, okay, I'm moving there anyway, though, and you'll have to evict me. Now, in a tactical sense, this is a blunder. Spain can guarantee Caracas, and there's nothing I can do about it. Strategically, however, I'm making a gamble here. A gamble which I think could pay off in one of 2 ways. A, either Spain backs down, maybe stabs the Dutch, maybe makes some other moves, concluding that he's already making too many enemies, and he doesn't want to make an enemy of Poland as well. Especially since I could be extremely useful to him in other theaters. In Africa, I could bounce Ottoman out of Timbuktu. In Europe, I could stab Ottoman, who is a major rival to Spain in the Mediterranean. I could also fight Austria, who also neighbors Spain. Or I could fight France and the colonies, who also neighbors Spain. And so on and so forth. Basically, having Poland as an ally, especially a Poland who's constantly pressing everyone on the entire board, might have some value. Now, it's possible that King of Prussia doesn't care about that, and just like, well, I want the dots, screw you, I don't need your friendship. Which, that is a very real possibility. The other way it could pay off for me strategically is if other players, such as Aymara or Ut or France, also start sending up to Spain and basically create a de facto coalition against him right from the start of the game that really slows him down, forces him to pick and choose who he's actually going to enforce his will with, And hopefully he doesn't choose me. And if he does choose me, hopefully he'll be punished for it in other theaters, and I can make a comeback once he has started, losing momentum and suffering losses, and maybe even comes back to me and changes his mind. Though again, this is King of Prussia. He is a very skilled player and an even more confident and sure of himself player. He is not someone who changes his mind all that often once he's made it up. And in fairness, neither am I. We were kind of an unstoppable force versus an immovable object sort of thing in this scenario. We'll see how it plays out for us respectively in the long run.
All right. All right. So here are our spring moves. We'll start with Meepstir.
Yeah, so Mughals move into Bamo. And this is something that you really never want as Ming. The whole idea of the neutral Bamo opening is that Bamo stays neutral. You're doing it with the threat that you can kick Mughals out of Bamo, but it's actually never something that you want to have to do because, I mean, knocking someone out of a neutral in year one on Imp Dip, where pretty much everyone can double, is just you're making enemies very quickly. It's not something you want to do. And I can do it. What I actually want right here is I want there to be nothing on Bamo right now, going to Kathmandu. I'm even fine with Mughals taking Bamo in the fall because it leaves them overextended and I can work with Ayu to try and push them out. And get Ayu on side, maybe support them up into Bamo temporarily while they attack the Bay or something, and then they get Kolkata and I get Sasaram or something of that nature. There's a lot of options there. But the important thing is that I want Rinpungpa, I want Xining first year so that I don't have to be going back and wasting a year with a unit. And I just already have it occupied. But now I'm kind of in this awkward situation where neutral Bamo was predicated on a threat, and you kind of have to follow through on the threat. And not all this time, Mughals are really trying to convince me to go on Ayu, which is something that he still says I should have gone in on after all this time, and I can't necessarily disagree with him. Mughals are offering me support into Ava and to bounce out Pegu, which leaves Ayu at +2, me with an ally, if everything goes through like that, and just generally feeling really good. Now, the issue of that comes in when I start looking at the whole front holistically. Because one of the other options that happens if I take that support of Bamo supports Kunming to Ava is there's the possibility that Bamo supports Ava or supports Chiang Mai to Ava. And I just bounce. Kunming is covered. I'm not getting a unit out of there. And given that I'm gambling on career, really, again, I'm considering if I want to try and go for the +2 up there. There's a possibility that if I accept this from Aulis, then I'm ending up +2 in the worst situation. And I mean, as Ming, +2 is just not survivable. It's +3 is terrible. It's doable. +4 is obviously the average, and +5 is great, but +2, +1, +0, anything like that, and you're like on the back ropes immediately, and you're never going to recover from that, especially as Ming. So I'm really worried that
I imagine is probably on the forefront of your mind because there have been some really high-profile games that you've been in where Ming did really, really poorly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like in A2H, I played as Mughals, and Ming didn't bounce me out of Bamo, and I just walked into Kunming in the fall. And
that was one of the famous Eastern Conga line opening, right?
Yep.
Yes. That was the one where after the game ended, the Ming posted in his void asking Flair to change the map into like making Ming impossible to attack. And it was like just adding impassable everywhere and free neutrals and all that kind of stuff. But like so I'd seen that. I'd seen in my first game, in the ICI,
Yeah.
Ming trusted Mughals too much and got absolutely shafted and then died. And again, I jumped in on that. But so all this is on my forefront of my mind. And basically what I'm coming into here thinking is that I need a build in Kunming. It isn't just getting the neutral. It's the fact that I can put an army down in Kunming because it just makes my options so much stronger. Like the difference between having, say, like just say the difference between me having Chengdu, Kunming, Rin Pungpa, and then me controlling Bama with an army or Mughals controlling Bama with an army. It's a completely different front, and obviously my ideal is having an army in Zining, Rinpungpa, Chengdu, Kunming. No one is even going to be considering trying to get into me. That's unassailable. I'm going to be arguing from a position of strength, and I just don't want to do it. And I'm so worried about getting attacked and Mughals betraying me and me ending up in the same situation as Ming, where you don't get the build in Kunming, that I really can't afford, in my opinion, to risk it on someone who already seems pissed off at me. Because again, I've already pissed off Mughals and Ayu in the first turn press-wise. So in my mind, I'm seeing, well, they might just stream is minimized.
Yeah, sorry.
They might just cooperate and they might just try and take me out. Because from what I'd heard, Ezio would obviously be very down for it, getting support into Ava. And I mean, again, Mughals is sending Delhi up to Kathmandu. Where's that army going to go after it's taking Kathmandu? It's going to go to Bhutan. I guess as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, why do Mughals decide to help me rather than deny me the build in this situation? And I can't really square it. And if we go look at Korea again, this is an interesting situation. I have the choice of going to Shengjing and Hanyang, or trying to gamble on where Qing goes, and so I'm really unsure of what my dot total is going to be, because in some scenarios with certain choices, I could end up with +5, and in some I end up with +2. So I'm really just thinking I can't afford to be trusting Mughals here. I just need to get the dot. I should have been more forceful in telling them that I was going to kick them out of Bamo, but again, I didn't feel like I was able to do that with the odd situation going on in Delhi. You see here that Goa is walking into Hyderabad and Delhi is walking into Ouch. And Portugal is just telling me that they're going to take Delhi. And to me, that seems like a completely reasonable move. I can see the reasons why you wouldn't, but I can also see the reasons why, as Portugal, you really, really could want to do that. So in the end, I decide I can't really afford to trust Mughals here, unfortunately. And so I decide to just stab them. And yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking going in. I'm not sure how it's going to look.
If they lose Delhi, it could turn out pretty well for you, right?
Exactly. And then especially like I'm just like, sorry, dude. Especially like I go +5, Mughals lose Delhi. They're not in a position to really contest me all that much. Honestly, in that situation, I probably say, hey, like I want to consolidate my position. I've had a really good first year. You retreat to Mroc and brawl Ezio down here. And Bama will be the last of my things here while I focus on getting Hanoi, cleaning off Macau and Hainan, trying to break Ayu before they kind of consolidate there. And so I'm kind of thinking like, yeah, I guess I hadn't really thought about it all that much why I didn't end up going with the Mughal plan to attack Ayu, but now that I'm thinking through it again, I can see why I didn't do it. So yeah, I'm honestly going into this like with all the press that's going on, I'm having kind of dreams delusions of grandeur, let's call it. I think things can go very well, like if Mughals are collapsing. Because also something that I didn't mention is that Mughals in the public channels are basically just completely constantly saying how much Mughals suck as a power. They're just constantly talking about how bad they are. They're saying, I don't think it's a good power. I don't like any of the openings. I think Flair needs to redesign this. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, he's not going to be long for this world. He's going to make some unorthodox play that's unorthodox for a reason, and he's going to be like collapsing by year 2 or 3. Pissing Mughals off isn't a long-term problem, and we already have pretty bad press. So not pissing Ezio off by permanently by letting him get into Ava, I think is a really solid move. I think it sets me up in a position where if things go well, I'm in a good position. It's definitely not my first choice, but I didn't hate going into the turn how things were looking. Yeah. And then yeah, in the West, there's less going on here. Salt is still trying to convince me to go into Kyushu, which is a kind of interesting play, because it allows me to just go after Pyongyang, which isn't a terrible opening. I mean, it denies Ming getting the core early, but also they still either they Matador onto Shengjing and they don't get a unit, or they go onto Hanyang and I can just say, well, things are more awkward, but it's still what we agreed on. It's still everyone gets one bit of Korea, and maybe I can work something out there.
Now
But
I'm
again,
imagining a
yeah.
Key Lepanto sort of thing for Ming and Xing, where Ming does a fake stab on Xing exactly like you, but Xing continues to Han Yang and basically loops their fleet around while Ming attacks Kyushu, and basically Qing kind of gets their fleet out of the inner sea area, and actually allies with Ming, and Toko gets coalitioned.
That would be really
Yeah.
smart.
And like something along those lines is definitely something that I was like considering. I didn't know if like Star was going to be the kind of person that would go for something like that, and we're going to talk about how things go with Star later, and you'll find out if she would be that kind of person. But but then Toku tells me that he's doing a plan that where if I tap Kyushu, I'm definitely not getting in. And I don't know if you do. I think you actually just go to bone in.
Yeah, I tell you I am gonna take Ryuku here just so you don't do
And
that.
I basically, as I'm doing it, I've basically decided I'm not doing Ryuku, and I'm specifically trying to like be nonchalant and not caring about it. Like I put a lot of effort into my press responding to that, saying that, oh, okay, like this doesn't really affect me at all.
Yeah.
Because I thought if I was like, oh, that's crazy, or if I was like, oh, I don't care at all, you were gonna either way actually go through with attacking Ryuku.
Yeah.
And I thought generally that was bad for me because it sets you up in a position where your fleets are a lot closer to me and stabbing me is a lot more reasonable. So I really want you to take Bunin.
You have to do the tsundere just the right level of disinterest.
Exactly. And I put a lot of thought into the right level of disinterest, and I think I pulled it off. To the point where I probably should have just gone for Kyushu. Things worked out between us in the end. But definitely could have kept my game more alive, I guess.
Yeah.
And in the chances of winning. But spoilers. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking going into fall, and we'll talk about how things go after we see the moves.
All right. So for me, yeah, pretty much the same thing I talked about in spring. Like I went here with the possibility of being able to cut Ryuku if I needed, or I could take it and just bounce Dutch out. I do end up going for Bonin here, mainly just because I don't want to create an enemy for like no reason. Like I don't know. I don't want to bounce him out and then him build and like retreat to Okinawa or something and then just immediately want to work with Spain against me. I was like, maybe I can work with him and get him to like go south or towards Ming or something like that. So I think I'll just go to Bonin. But I did tell Ming that like I am going to Ryuku so he just doesn't get the ideas of trying to cut. The other ones are pretty simple, like Amori just gets to walk into Fusan here because they're obviously not gonna. Ching can't bounce that, and like that would just be silly for Ming to do, so that's an easy one. Ainu's an easy walk in because Ching's just gonna go to Sahilian, and then yeah, I got Bone in here. Kyushu would only get dislodged if they do that support, but I was trying to make it so that wasn't gonna happen. And yeah, it's pretty much it. It's kind of more of my first year was about just getting press good with every single person around me. I kind of failed it on the colonials. Like they didn't really give me as much time of the day as like all the other regionals and stuff that I was talking to. Oh yeah, Mapuche I was also talking to really well too. So like our plan was kind of to kill the colonials in the middle here. I was talking with Ayu, whoops, Ute over here, and Mapuche, and we were gonna do like a big kind of coalition where we all attacked them from each side. Ute attacked Spain like in America and stuff. He was planning to bounce him out of Hawaii here because Spain wanted to go to Hawaii.
Part of the coalition we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of just fell into place like within hours of the game starting. Like everyone was kind of just gonna go anti-Dutch and anti-Spain. And then people were mentioning like Portugal might be part of that. Portugal might be part of their triple, but I never really got a strong impression that that was true. But people were saying that all the time.
Aymara really strongly felt that,
Yeah,
or at least told people he felt that for a big part of the game. I think he was the main proponent of it. I never thought it was super likely. I was actually more suspicious of France.
yeah, I heard it from Aymara too. That's what I remember. Obviously, he wants everyone to attack all three of those colonials, so that makes sense.
Yeah, so he may have had his own modified version of it, customized reality with Aymaran aspects.
Yeah. Oh, and then I got Spain to go to Cebu instead of Philippines, just so I had the free walk in there.
Oh yeah, that's incredible.
But yeah. Oh, and then Ching also getting attacked by Russia up here. We were talking to him, and he was saying he was just gonna bounce her out of Ikari during fall. So that was an easy one. And yeah, that's about it. We'll go over to Tasnica here.
All right, so Poland. I've actually got a pretty straightforward fall here. So I have Jassy guaranteed. I just support myself in. Ochakiv is also guaranteed because there's only one army there. I could bounce Russia out of Bakhchisarai, but at this point, me, Russia, and Ottoman are all still in a triple. Is the idea. And I don't want to be fighting Russia as Poland, so I see no reason why I should, bounce him. A bunch of people were also telling me that I should move to Constantinople and snipe the Ottoman capital, but exact same thing. I'm already getting a build. I'm trying to form a triple here. Why would I stab her in the way most likely to piss her off for a net +0 gain? Similarly, Austria is basically constantly complaining about me being in Ruthenia, and telling me that he is 100% for sure going back to cover Pressburg in case I stab him, which again would be a very curious move for me to make, given that I have a guaranteed Jassy here. But I just kind of tell him, sure, whatever, dude. Cover Pressburg all you want. I am going to move to Riga because Sweden has told me they'll give it to me because I didn't open to Baltic, and I have 2 cores open that can build fleets. So my thinking here is that he's going to let me in so that I don't build 2 fleets in retaliation if he doesn't. And because yes, while there is the drama with Spain in the Caribbean, even if I don't get Riga or Caracas, that's still 5 builds. I could drop 2 fleets in Europe if everything else goes well. And Sweden doesn't even know about the Caracas stuff. So, like, I'm hoping that he won't make an enemy for no reason. Lubeck is guaranteed. Brandenburg is guaranteed. So yeah, there's only really one question mark in Europe, and I think I have the threat of retaliation necessary to ensure it doesn't happen.
All right.
Over in Africa, I am indigent, and I offered support to Portugal into Niani in exchange for him letting France have Wulada. And I provide that support. I am friends with everybody in West Africa and have been promised Endikaru next year. So I am well on track toward my stated goal of having a stable and secure colony that can't just be taken off me whenever people feel like it. Over in the Caribbean, I expect to lose Caracas. There is a chance that Spain dots the Dutch here, which, if you wanted to disprove the allegations of the Spain Netherlands, would go a really long way toward that.
Yeah.
Like that move could single-handedly flip me to his side. Will he actually do it? We'll see. I certainly don't expect him to. I just core here because why not?
Yeah, fair enough. Like, it's a pretty bad situation.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, fall moves.
Fall
Meepstir.
moves. So I was kind of saying, how is Korea gonna go? Am I gonna guess correctly? Is the gamble gonna go well? So after this, Star sent me a very nice message. Star responded like that. Very verbose. Very verbose. But I can understand where she's coming from, because frankly, if I managed to pull this off on someone who stabbed me, I would do the exact same fucking shit. But yeah, so this isn't exactly what I wanted to see. And I will talk about it for a second. I still think that, okay, so from everything I've seen, people very much say, okay, but no one ever covers Shengjing. And there's a lot of reasons why I chose the options that I did. Because if you look at it, there's a lot of Mings that just go one for Shengjing and one for Hanyang in this situation. And, you know, if they do that, then covering Shengjing just gets you +1 and you have a build. Like, because you bounce me out, then you have an extra build. Like, if you cover Hanyang, you're still getting the Pyongyang, but you're losing Shengjing, and it's just a lot worse. So in that situation, covering Shengjing is a good idea. And secondly, in the situation where I go Shengjing and Pyongyang, and they go to Hanyang, that's like that's the best possible outcome of this turn for me. Like, that's the best possible moveset I could get, because it leaves Qing in Pyongyang, or not in Pyongyang, but in Hanyang, and Hanyang only borders Yellow Sea and Fusan. So if I can keep Toku on side here, and I think that I can, going into this, I have good press with Toku. I mean, Toku's going to be willing to stab me if it's the best move, but I think I can keep them on board for at least a year, or at least make stabbing me really unattractive and kind of hype up like, oh, you'll get stuff in Qing instead, and we can be friends. So if I build a fleet in Peking here, I can support Pyongyang, support Nanking, 2 yellow sea, and assuming that I have Canadian on side, there's literally nothing Qing can do to stop this fleet from getting blown up. So I neutralize the thing there. I get that final build. I'm in a situation where now I've taken everything and I don't really have to build any more fleets, which Canadians really happy about, which means that I can start saying, okay, I want to get south, I want to attack the Dutch with you, strengthen that alliance. I mean, Canadian, can you talk on if something of that nature would have worked? Or if you, because I think there's also a good reason that you might just side with Qing in that situation, I guess.
Yeah, so my thought at this point, like I was still kind of just open to do whatever. When you opened like this and I saw Russia open against her like this, I was like, all right, I'm probably going to go for Qing, mainly because even if you take out all the relationships and stuff, I think Haishenwai and Pyongyang are just more dangerous cores to me than like Peking and Nanking are. So I don't really want Qing to have like a strong game later on. And I kind of want to wipe out both of those as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Meepstir, as long as you were being friendly to me and stuff, and like sending fleets down and like not going to Yellow Sea and East China Sea and stuff, I probably would have been fine to work with you the whole time.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's kind of what I was thinking. And so I'm thinking that in the case where I send to both, tapping Hanyang is a strictly worse move because you get one less dot out of it. I think. Yeah, you get one less dot out of it. Which you're going to need on builds, especially in this situation. And because if I do go both on that north one, you're ending up in the worst possible world. I guess I'm thinking, am I really going to get my perfect world? And
yeah,
I'm thinking that no, I'm not. This is the Pumpkin Cup. I think I had Basili to Shengjing and Yellow Sea to Pyongyang for most of the turn, and I was kind of like I was getting honestly a little giddy at the thought because and that factors into some of the stuff going on down south that I'll get into as well, which could have been good for me. Um and frankly, I'm like starting to think like, wow, this could be like the best possible Ming opening. Like had I done this, it would have been beautiful. So that's why I'm doing it. That's why I didn't think it would work out because it's just so good. And
yeah,
honestly, props on Starcat for reading me well. There's nothing more I can say than that. Like at the end of the day, I think it's a coin flip, and
yeah.
I coin flipped wrong.
It's
Yeah,
one of those situations where it's like if you outthink them, you're doing really well. But like if they outthink you and think like you're gonna do the worst move because they're expecting that they think that you think you're gonna do the best move, it sometimes
yeah,
makes sense to do like a worse one.
and you can go infinite with that. So
Yeah,
like, yeah, people can say, for instance, as like, and I've heard this a lot. You can say as Qing, you never cover Sheng Jing here.
yeah,
That's exactly why you cover Sheng Jing because as Qing,
exactly.
you
Yeah,
never cover it. I guessed wrong. It's very unfortunate. I really want to live in the world where I went into Shengjing and Pyongyang because
Oh
I think it's a
man.
really fun game for me. But unfortunately not. And then we get to the south down here as well. So another reason why I was feeling kind of like decently confident going into the turn. I was actually getting ready into the ICI chat. I was hoping for a +5 and I was going to send like a me with a rose in my mouth like on the stage if everything had gone well, because what I had been trying to get was Mughals had told me that they were bouncing Pegu, and I was trying to get Bamo to bounce Ava. And if I had managed that, like this is the best Ming opening, like I think possible. Um IU is at +2. Again, I'm thinking that Portugal's going into Delhi, so Mughals are at like what +1?
1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, -1, +2. I think Kathmandu, Surat, and
Yeah,
Yarkand.
yeah, something like that. But they're losing Delhi.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so +2. I mean, +2 on both those neighbors. I'm at +5. I'm in a really strong position. Like, even if they want to coalition me, like they're weak enough that people are going to be circling them from other angles. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe I can get um get like one of them on a vassal contract
Mm.
that like I prop them up and go finish off the other one. And I can set myself up for a really strong game here. I'm probably leaning Mughals, but again, that's like kind of wishful thinking. I can't really convince Mughals to agree to that. So I just kind of leave it ambiguous as the turn goes on.
Mhm.
But again, I'm thinking all the same stuff that I'd been thinking earlier. Where if Mughals aren't on board, if they're not bouncing Pegu, which I mean, like obviously they might not be bouncing Pegu. If they're supporting Bamo up to, if they're supporting Chiang Mai up to Ava, then again I don't want to be going in to Ava there.
Yep.
And there's just a lot of scenarios where it doesn't go well for me, so I decide I think this is the best situation. And so I end up in this situation where I mean, if you look at it holistically, this is a bad turn for me. I don't really think there's any way around that. I think it's an okay turn for me if I get into both of those dots on Korea, but this definitely puts me in the back foot.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, you'd be in a
and
great spot if you got 2 in Korea there, because then you could just get full builds, and it doesn't even matter
yeah,
if you piss them both off
yeah,
a bit. Like, they can't really do much
exactly.
against you.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do against a Army Bamo, Rinpungpa,
Yeah.
Chengdu? Yeah. It's just you're just not gonna be able to make progress, and that's what I was hoping for, and unfortunately that's not what happened.
Yeah, it's almost
Um
kind of like the Titanic. Titanic spoilers, I guess.
yeah.
Where there's a certain number of watertight compartments that you can afford
Yes.
to lose, and the ship will stay afloat. Everything will be fine. You're unsinkable. It's great. Props to you.
Yeah.
But once that fifth or sixth thing goes wrong, all of a sudden,
Yeah,
there's not enough lifeboats.
yeah, it's over. Because again, Korea, I can make do without it. And then if I'm having a better turn, like say that I had gotten this neutral situation with Bamo open, and instead of this situation, it ends up with Bamo is neutral. Um, and then I'm in Rinpungpa and I'm in Zinning. Like even then, I mean, even with the +3, I'm honestly in a much better position because it's so hard to attack me from there that I can kind of the Korea doesn't matter as much. Even getting 0 out of Korea, and I can just like go ahead and recover in the long run. So I could have made if one of them hadn't happened, I could have made do, but they both happened, and so you guys will get to hear how things go next in spring. So yeah, Canadian.
Yeah. All right. So me, uh, everything went pretty as expected. Well, other than that, I thought Ming was gonna get into at least one of those, but Ming and Ching are both fighting, so that makes me very happy. Ching's obviously getting coalition by Russia up here too, so she's only +2 here, and I'm immediately looking for like a year 2 stab, like hoping she's not gonna build like a fleet here and stuff, and just kind of aim to go that way. Ming, honestly, I was kind of happy to see this because, like, if Ching is
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
destroyed and Ming goes +5 and he's like prepared to start getting gains up here, I feel like you're gonna be like a really strong rival later in the game. So seeing you get a little setback here, I was actually pretty happy. Keeping you
Mhm.
in like a medium strength role, I think was like what I wanted the most because I don't want like Ayutthaya to blow up too strong, and then like by the time we get rid of the colonials, he's just gonna be impassable for me. I don't want like Russia to be so strong. I don't want Qing to like be too strong. So keeping everyone kind of balanced is what I'm aiming for, and this is pretty good for me here. Inuit had a really good year here. He doubled, so he got into all his neutrals here. No one was attacking him. Ute decides to bounce out Hawaii instead of Alouettes. So immediately I was like, all right, Inuit is probably like my biggest fear here for doing well long term because he's also got weak Qing here that he can start going after. And then what else? The colonials here, uh nothing like too committal. This is obviously just standard kind of stuff, so I don't know, but obviously we're talking about Salt and King of Prussia being super close. So I'm looking at expanding kind of down this way into Qing the next year, and then I want Ute and Athabasca to start attacking Inuit. So immediately after these fall moves, I go to both of them and I'm like, yo, like, I want to start heading over to America and North America and stuff. Who are you guys looking at attacking? And both of them were telling me like they were tighter with each other than with Inuit. And if they were going to attack someone, it would be Inuit. So I was like, all right, that's perfect with me. If you guys go for that, like I'll start attacking him over on this side of the map up here. And then they were also talking about how France and England were going to work together against Inuit or something like that. So even though he was doing pretty good, I immediately felt like people were going to start attacking him the following year. And then everyone is against the colonial. Like every regional I'm talking to is pretty much is anti-Dutch and Spain. So that was good for me too. And yeah, just sitting in a pretty good spot overall. Got all my neutrals. Tasnica.
All right, Poland. So, Sweden does bounce Riga, which is
Unfortunate.
very bad. It denies me a build without costing them any builds. Obviously, it does immediately invite retaliation, but there is another watertight compartment that's been breached, and that is Russia stabbing me. Russia stabbing me by moving to Voronezh. Notably, not for a build or anything, just moving an army out of nowhere into an obviously threatening position.
Yeah.
When I've very clearly opened friendly toward them. We've got a triple supposedly with the Ottomans, who Russia notably also stabbed. So my theory that Russia would not want to pick a fight with both me and Ottomans simultaneously.
Wrong.
No, I miscalculated the number of lifeboats there.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well that's not good because now I can't retaliate effectively against Sweden because Russia is also stabbing me. I could drop 2 fleets here, but I also have to deal with Russian armies. So that's not great. But hey, maybe Ottoman can help me out, right? There's still 2 of us left in the triple, and I did not go for Constantinople. We're still good allies. Maybe she'll be able to. Oh wait, how many builds is she getting this year?
1.
She gets Tumbek too.
Minus 2, 3.
I think it was 3.
4,
if I
but
remember.
then yeah,
No, it was 5.
I think
it was
3
5.
is right because she
3,
loses this.
3, yeah. Yeah, it was.
Yep. Ottoman plus 3. So my triple has turned into a duo with a plus 3 Ottoman. Now some people might be like, oh, plus 3 Ottoman, you should just kill them, Poland. Sure.
You have a few
That's
other problems to deal with.
I got stabbed by Sweden year 1. I got stabbed by Russia year 1. I did not get stabbed by Austria, but Austria is like the poster child for opportunistic and will absolutely jump on me if given a good opportunity to. So, especially if Ottomans are out of the picture. And also Dutch, are sending an army eastward instead of a fleet. Because they lied to me on the first turn and moved in an army instead, which can stab me and most likely will. So my early game trust in the Dutch plummeted and basically locked in okay, there's a Dutch-Spain thing, and even if there's not, I want both of these players gone because they're clearly, opposed to my interests. So something has got to be done about these guys. So yeah, that's the Europe start. Africa actually goes pretty well. even for the Ottomans. It's
Yeah.
the one place where the Ottoman position is looking pretty good.
Can they
There's
ever?
lots of-
I don't even think it's possible to go bad there, eh?
well, I could bounce them out of. I
Oh
could
yeah,
bounce them
yeah,
out of
that's right.
paper
You
free.
can.
But Spain basically guaranteed I wouldn't, because I'm like, hey, Spain, we could be friends and do stuff against Ottoman. And he's like, no, I care more about the dot than about your friendship.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You don't need me? Fair enough. We'll see if that's true. And of course, Spain takes Crocus.
The core does not go through.
No core in Crocus, unfortunately. Spain and Dutch are not beating the allegations.
Yeah.
This all looks quite
Oh yeah.
neat and tight and tidy. However, my insurance plan does pay off. Aymara stab Spain year 1. Oot stab Spain year 1.
Not there yet. But yeah, bounced out of Hawaii.
Yeah, which is Spain definitely considers this a stab.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, this Spain stabs Ottomans year 1. So basically, Spain's already at war with much of the board. And so that's basically my backup plan here. Like, yes, I lose Crocus in the short term. I even create a hashtag remember Crocus for the ICI chat. But I'm betting that diplomatically, this will pay off for me in the long term, because I am now part of this anti-Spain Netherlands coalition, and I am clearly walking the walk. Like, no one's going to look at this map and be like, is Poland actually on Spain's side here? Is he actually legit? Is he just a poser? No. Poland is definitely anti-Spain here.
Yeah.
And people know that. And so far, that has emboldened them to take more action against the colonials. The regionals are rising up. And it's already becoming apparent in year 1.
Oh yeah. And then Mapuche's also good with Tanglewood because he went north instead, so he doesn't even take the free neutral there.
Oh yeah, another thing I did, I started this in the pregame, like I started planning it, and then in press the entire first year, one of the things I was doing was playing matchmaker. And I doubled down on this after my initial impressions of Spain and Netherlands and the colonials in general all teaming up. I basically went to every part of the map and tried to create regional alliances. In
Including
South
our part of the
America, there's a triple there. In East Asia, it didn't work quite so well. Everyone kind of hates each other. Though I was able to, well, the two of you didn't work together. Whether that had anything to do with me or not is another question. I was involved in creating the ICI chat.
Yeah. I think every little thing helps. Even if, like, in a game with 25 people, I don't think anyone's, like, directly... unless it's, like, a strict tactical move or something, but I think for, like, bigger picture alliances and stuff, no one's, like, the single dictator on, like, who's gonna work with who. I think every little thing that gets said to you all, like, paints a picture on, like, how the board is actually gonna play out. So even if whatever you say to us does have, like, a certain percent of influence on how we're going to do things. If you're telling us both that we're both like telling you positive things about each other, and then that gets back to us, we're going to be like, oh yeah, okay, Meepstir's telling Tasnica across the world that he wants to work with me. That's a really good thing, and it makes me more likely to work with Meepstir.
And to a certain point, I started like specifically sending you, Taz, like messages being like, "Oh my god, I love Toku," because I knew that you were going to back channel it to him. And so like it was kind of like free like marketing, I guess. It doesn't feel as self-interested when it's coming from me. So I definitely think like I think that there's a very good likelihood. I mean, you and me, Canadian, had good press regardless. So I think there's a good chance things go the exact same way. but I definitely think there's a larger chance that there's a war that I don't survive if
Yeah.
Taz isn't playing that matchmaker role.
100%. Like the reason we work together is because there's like a lot of things that add up, and that information is just like another reason for us to work together. Where it's like, and if enough of those things fall apart, then we would fight.
Mhm.
Yeah, and North America too. I was doing that. I noticed that Oot and Athabasca had a pretty good rapport with each other early on, and I needed Oot especially to be part of the put pressure on Spain campaign. So getting those regionals working together was a big priority, and those were the two that kind of hit it off the most, kind of similar to Ming and Toku.
Mm.
So every chance I got, I encouraged that, and then every time that it actually paid off for them, it was like a mutually reinforcing thing where they work together better, they talk to me more. All these little things
Yeah.
Add up together, and it's kind of like a force multiplier on their own press with each other.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing with me, where I was talking to them both, and then I'd go to the other and be like, "Oh, Ute's saying really positive. He wants to work with you, Atha." And then I'd go to Ute and be like, "Oh yeah, Atha wants to attack Inuit with us." And obviously, I'm not the one who makes that alliance. Like those two probably do that anyway, but I do feel like that contributes to it, and yours as
Yeah,
well.
and obviously we'll see how long all these alliances last. But for the start of the game, there's this really promising, um, regional collaboration,
Yeah.
and lots of pressure on the colonials from pretty early on. Which let's take a look at the North Atlantic. There's one very interesting move here. Portugal walks into Bermuda.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So not only
Oh,
is there
and leaves the
um,
neutral.
yes, oh yeah, and doesn't walk into the neutral, which I believe was arranged between them. Like
Yeah,
Portugal was supposed to get Braudeleid,
Yeah,
so he had a free
exactly.
dot there, but he decided to snipe the core, and so this adds to the already tense situation for the colonials, where all the regionals are starting to rise up against them, and it's kind of like, oh wait, you can't stamp on all of us at once. Um, and now there's also, they're also sniping at each other too, which is not great for colonial cohesion. Yeah, there is one retreat that's kind of important. And that's my Crocus retreat because, I got dislodged as expected. I retreat to Gulf of Paria, which the Dutch pressed me really hard to not do this. However, I want to be next to Barbados because I do want to eventually get that. B, the Dutch lied to me on the very first turn about their moves and have been kind of sus in general. So I'm not placing their priorities in particularly high regard. I'm honest with them, like, hey, I'm going to be retreating there. Here's the reasons why. It's not for attacking you. But I don't think he actually believed that I would build New Courland. Or if he did, he just wanted an opening to work with Spain to stab me anyway.
Mm.
But anyhow, he was not happy about this, but I think our relationship was already strained by this point.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, so winter builds 42.
Stream is paused.
Oh, is it? Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. So, yeah. I build here pretty much what I feel I have to. I mean, I'm in a very bad situation. I'd love to have more armies, but I can't not build in Kunming. I can't not build in Lanzhou. And although I probably want an army in Chengdu rather than Peking, putting it in Chengdu isn't immediately going to save me Bamo. It would only really start being useful to take Zinning in the fall, and it's not really getting a lot. So I decided to put it down Peking, because that way it's at least having some kind of like, I guess, threatening effects. I can talk about making moves to like Hahat or things of that nature, Zilly. maybe do a convoy if I'm feeling extra. When really I'm just gonna send it back to Chengdu. But at least get some value by being there instead of being in Chengdu at the start. So I decided to put it there.
Yeah.
Not much more to build than that.
I think we had a plan or something. I don't know if we did this in winter or not, but I think I wanted you to go to like Zilly and then I'd support you.
Yeah.
That might have been in spring though. I don't think we talked about that.
It
in
might have
winter.
been. And that's before you started promising me dots and then never following through on actually giving me the dots. Yeah. Oh yeah. But that's my builds.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty obvious. Poor fleets. Like, not much else to say there. Armies can't really do anything immediately. What about Tasnica?
Yeah, so you'll notice that I put 3 units in Europe, which I had 5 builds, so that implies that I used 2 of them in the colonies. You will see exactly what those. Oh yeah, we just see them now. Unsurprisingly, it's an army in Africa and a fleet in the Caribbean, because those are good units to have in those theaters. As I mentioned early on, I believe that Poland's colonies are absolutely essential in order for Poland to have a realistic chance of winning the game. And having only 1 unit and 1 core in these theaters is not a very sustainable situation in terms of actually keeping those colonies, especially in the Caribbean, where there is already a hostile unit next to my core. So I am absolutely building in both of these colonies. They need to survive at all costs, and I need to find some way to make each of them work. Which means I also need to not die in Europe. I can have a bad time in Europe. I just need to not die. Now, with only 3 builds to work with, I need to put down at least 1 fleet, because Sweden's stab year 1 has to be retaliated against to at least some extent. But I can't full send him because Russia also stabbed me. So I go to Sweden. I'm like, hey, look, you stabbed me year 1. That sucks. I need to build a fleet here for my obvious security. However, I am willing to de-escalate with you, build just 1 fleet as opposed to the normal 2 that a Poland would retaliate a Riga bounce with, and I'm going to use that fleet to take Königsberg. It's going to be moving away from you. It can't threaten you there. I'm just going to chill out. It's going to be a defensive fleet. We can peace out here. You can help me fight Russia. You can go after the English or Dutch. You have options. He builds 3 fleets. The fleet in Abo being the most damning regarding his intentions toward me. But I tried. And I will continue pressing him in the hope that maybe he decides to look elsewhere than death warring Poland from the start of the game.
What did I? Okay, there we
go.
go.
We got some special effects going.
The other 2 armies are pretty clearly intended to deal with Russia. Obviously, the Kiev army is doing that. I consider building the 2nd army in Wilno, but I do not trust Austria that much. So I put it in like a central position in Warsaw, basically being like, hey, my homeland is not empty and undefended. I'm focusing on Russia. I'm not attacking you, but I'm not an easy target either. Go look somewhere else, Austria.
Mm-hmm.
Ottoman, I am locked in with. Like,
oh, she got 4 builds.
Yeah, she disbanded a retreat. I think the Caucasus retreat could either disband or retreat towards Safavid, and she decided to pop it for 4 units. 3 of them are fleets to go fight Spain and possibly Austria with. Could also help against Russia as well. But basically, I'm like, hey, Ottoman, we didn't have a great year. I am fully on your side. You were generous with me. You didn't stab me. I'm completely on your side here. I'll hold off Russia on this front. Let's work together against them and possibly Safavid and Austria too, if they come after us. And yeah, that's my plan. Basically, talk nice with Sweden until they go away, deflect Russia's stab as best I can. I also begin like pressing the heck out of all of Russia's neighbors, working to coalition them here because they're pretty clearly coming after me. And then of course I drop a unit in each of my colonies because that's really important.
Yeah. All right. I also should mention some things here because I talked about mine. No fleet build from Ming, which is what I wanted to see. No fleet Haishenwai from Qing, which is good for me too. Shenjing is better than an army for me because if I want to attack Haishenwai, which is what I wanted to do, an army could support it, but the fleet can only go against Ming. Inuit up here built an army in Carracks instead of a fleet West Coast Carracks. So this whole area up here above me only has like 2 enemy fleets here, just the one Inuit and the one Qing one. So I was thinking like, okay, after I get like Haishenwai, like I can start pushing up in this area and it should be pretty easy for me to like control all these seas and stuff. And then the colonials kind of built negative for me, but pretty good overall.
Spring year 2.
Spring year 2. So when I was thinking back on this turn, I was kind of thinking, oh, the south went so poorly. So maybe we'll talk about the north first because it went better. But if you can zoom in on that north there, it didn't go much better at all. So basically, me and Qing were having some issues. Obviously, we were not having a good time. But I kind of figured, okay, in Korea, it does not make sense to fight. It doesn't make sense to come to peace. Like, us being at peace just doesn't work. We're too locked in. We need to fight this one out and then come to a solution. But in the north, I was kind of thinking, well, like, okay, so what? Like, we're at war, but the fact is that us both death warring here, we were already at the end of this year, I think, ranked 24 and 25 on the map. Actually, I think we were 23 and 24 because Ottomans did so poorly. Yeah. But or no, we were okay. We go but we're both doing terrible from what you can see on there. Neither of us are having a good game. We're both at the bottom and we're both struggling. And so I make this pitch to Qing, wherein I'll use Turfan to top Karakum, while Gobi is supported by Chichihar into Ikkure. I'll follow up into Gobi, and then I'll support into Karakum in the fall with the support of Qing, and we might still be fighting down here, but we're going to be able to recover because we're up in the north. And I mean, obviously there's some problems with this, is that like when you're talking with a colonial and pitching a multiple like theaters kind of deal where one you fight and one you're at peace, they're a lot less interconnected, so it's a lot easier to make it work. But I don't know, I still think this was a pretty good, like, this was a reasonable deal, and I definitely wish it hadn't ended up with me getting stabbed here, even if I did stab Qing the turn before, obviously.
I think you're right too, because she's obviously in a pretty terrible spot. I don't think she was expecting me to hit her, so I was telling her like I was gonna come after you. So I think that probably played into her a big part, where she's like, okay, I got Tokugawa on side. He's gonna be supporting me to Hanyang and stuff. Like I don't need to work with him. But yeah, if she knew I was going to attack her, I think that's like 100% what she should be doing there because she has like no allies other than that.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I tried to make it work. It unfortunately didn't. I also tap Russia here for it to work, which ends up me being a useless move. Um, it ends up being a useless move. They could have been doing something else.
Yeah.
And also pisses off Russia because now I've attacked them. So not a good turn for me, but also like we get the convoy off to Pyongyang, which is nice. So we're making progress, which is, we'll take it.
I
Yeah.
was also encouraging all of this, wasn't I? Or
I
is this
think
or is
so.
it later?
I think
I
you were
remember-
working through everything. Yeah, definitely.
I
Because I remember
think
doing a
you.
lot of trying to matchmake between you and Ching.
Yeah, I
and
remember
also
you
being
wanted
Polish
to
and Russia.
keep us good with Ching so she could go attack Russia.
Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, and I was definitely trying to make it happen, but okay.
I
And then
appreciated it.
yeah, so I would say that I probably should have guessed that Ching wouldn't be willing to just try and make peace. Like, I think it's reasonable for Ching to do this moveset with the assumption that Ching isn't attacking or Toku isn't attacking them. I think very often Toku is attacking Ching, and
Yeah.
they should have expected it.
Especially with
But
the Noah fleet.
yeah. I mean, you just don't get these opportunities very often. But I can understand why it didn't happen. I think I made a decent recommendation for moves. I think things could have gone well.
Yeah.
The South, however, if you guys just want to look at that, so this is just a disaster. Like, all in all, I mean, it's really just a terrible, terrible move set. I'm attacking. Mughals are sending into me. Rinpoongpa is holding instead of bouncing Bhutan.
Mhm.
Bamo is getting dislodged and attacking a unit it can't. It isn't going to get into because Ava is being supported.
Yeah.
And what makes this all worse is I'd like you to draw the moveset that I had as a deal on the table from Ezio. Ezio sends Pegu to Bay of Bengal. Ava
Pretty there.
goes to Mroc. Chiang Mai goes to Ava. Bamo is supported by Kunming into Yongchang. And Rinpoongpa bounces Bhutan.
Balmo is supported into where? Oh, Yongchang.
Into Yongchang, yeah.
And then what?
And Rinpoongpa goes to Bhutan. Now, if you look at this moveset, if I had taken that, this is like an infinitely better situation. Yongchang gets destroyed.
Yeah.
I'm in a decent chance I get Bamo back in the fall. I'm in a situation where I can get Xingning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything looks good. So the real question is, why did I not go with that? And it comes down to the press situation between me and Mughals and Ayu by this stage in the game. And so, again, I was talking about how Mughals were seeming really upset with the game and didn't like Mughals and didn't seem to like that they were playing Mughals. And then after I knocked them out of Bamo, they just started insulting me. Just the press becomes quite toxic. I start like genuinely like getting a little stressed out by it. Like I'm just not having a good time because it's stressful. It's not nice press, I'll say that. There's lots of insults in there. And it wasn't a good time and I was just not feeling good. And I kind of get into this headspace where Mughals are this kind of rogue actor. They're not really in the game. They're very upset. And I think they're very liable to suicide. And what I really don't want to have happen is get into a suicidal death war where Mughals try to kill me, I lose, and then Ayu becomes super huge off of it. And so Mughals sell me a very, very like unfavorable deal. They spend the whole turn kind of convincing me to take a very bad deal for me. I can't exactly remember what it was, but It really sucked, and it didn't feel like the kind of thing that you're selling to someone as a fake deal because the other person just hates it. Like, it's horrible.
Mhm.
So I get completely blindsided by the stab here, from Mughals. I don't expect that's happening. Um, and yeah, and then I piss off Ayu as well, because again, from their perspective, this just looks horrible. And for a player like Ayu, one thing that they value a lot is competence. And this doesn't look like a competent moveset. It looks like, um, yeah, it
You're
looks
just
like
giving
someone's.
you're giving their neighbor dots.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like, I understand why it happened. I mean, there are like extenuating circumstances. I think another part of it is kind of Ayu's press style. And I'll get into this more later, but I really feel like, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but Ezio has like a few kind of tricks that he uses um in a way. And one of them is kind of, he never wants to be the one coming to you with an idea. He always wants you to be coming to him with an idea. And so, um because it gives you more leveraging power. And so we really only worked out that deal with Ayu in the last little bit.
Mm.
And so I wasn't able to kind of like be like, oh, um, Mughals are really upset at me. But I'm talking to Ayu and he's offering me some like good deal that can make things work. Instead, it was kind of like I was talking to only Mughals. And then I talked to Ayu at the very end and we worked something out that could have been really good. But I didn't feel like, I don't know. It's hard to think back to exactly why I didn't take it, but I end up deciding that I'd rather not piss off Mughals because I feel if I stab them here, they're going to death war me again.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, you know how there's like tactical tempo, right, in the game, the pacing of things and whether it's in your favor or not. I
Yeah.
think there's also a diplomatic tempo
Yeah.
of when you press people, when you create ideas with them, how long they have to sit in on those ideas
Yeah,
and think about them.
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah.
And it seems like here that I use timing was poor.
Yeah.
And Mughals timing was basically not what you thought it was. You thought
Yeah.
that they weren't yet at the point where they were going to full send you, but they were already there,
Yeah.
and you hadn't gotten the memo yet.
Exactly. And I mean, it's good. I really hated it. Obviously, no one likes being insulted. I did not have a good time with it, but I mean, it worked. To their credit for Mughals, it did work. This is an incredible turn for Mughals. They get into Bhutan for free. They get into Zangpa for free. They get into Bamo. I mean, they get a little bit stabbed by Ayu. Um, but I'm pissing Ayu off so much with this moveset that like it's not as big of a deal as it could have been.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it's just not a good turn for me, and I'll get into kind of the follow up, I guess.
Even
From
there, you can also just go down towards Andaman
they
Islands.
can, they can, yeah, and we'll and we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Yeah, but that's my turn. It goes very poorly. I make some bad decisions. I make this moveset at Walmart while I'm walking around the aisles. It's not great. Yeah, I think though, Canadian, you had a much better turn.
Yeah, mostly good here. I do one stupid move. I'll get into it. But yeah, we get off this convoy to Pyongyang, which is really nice. I have the whole setup to this in my void of like how I got her to do these moves. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I went to her and I was telling her that like you were trying to work with me and what we were planning was to like convoy Peking to Hanyang and that I was gonna bounce that out or something like that. And I wanted her to support herself out and then like move this I can't remember exactly why, but I remember like I wanted to make sure Pyongyang. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I set it up so we would be guaranteed to get me Pyongyang, and if you were to move Peking to Zili, I was also guaranteed to get you into Xinjiang and Hanyang, and then here I got her. She didn't want to do this. I remember she wanted to bounce me in Kuril Sea or something because she was trying to work with Inuit, but I was like, hey, if I'm gonna work with you against Ming, like I need to be able to get growth against Inuit up here. Like we can't just work against one person, we gotta work against both. And because I'm giving you Han Yang, I want you to support me to Curl C so I can get an attack on Koryaks. And I got her to do that just so she wouldn't fucking cover Strait of Tartary or go to Curl C, because if I go here and she goes to Curl C, she can just walk into Ainu. So I wanted to make sure she stayed in there. And then I'd have
And
the
use the
double
Haitian
attack
way.
on Haishin Y for fall.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we get that convoy. I'll talk about after fall moves when we get there, but yeah, we're pretty set up pretty good here. To my south, Salt immediately stabs me. I can't remember what he was telling me. I think he was saying he was gonna go to like Luzon and or so. I don't think I wasn't telling him to go after Ming because I was like I'm gonna work with Ming against Qing, and then after we kill Qing, I'll like come attack Ming with you. And I think he was saying he was gonna go to Luzon. I can't remember exactly though, but he is obviously working here with Spain. Like doesn't do anything anti-Spain. If you go to the other parts of the board, he's like working with Spain. So I'm like, all right, that the Spain-Dutch alliance is a real thing. I totally waste my Bonin support here. I think I wanted to do that just in case he went to Kuroshio and bounced me out, and then if they go there and there, they would have been able to take Bonin. But I really should have just bounced out Philippine Sea here.
Yeah.
Like, stupid move on my part.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
I mean,
pretty
we
much.
all make them.
I mean, it does guarantee you have 2 units on Ryukyu, right?
If Ryukyu bounces Kyushu, I think it's only 1.
Well, right. Oh, yes. I guess he could. But that's like he's more likely to bounce the fleet than move to Kyushu, right?
I guess.
Yeah, I can't remember. I had a reason, but looking back, it was just kind of stupid. NPO. Obviously, this area is extremely scary for me all game, and it's especially scary at the beginning because I have Spain who just moved into NPO, and he's attacking me with Dutch. And then I have Inuit here who I want to eventually attack, but he's in there too. So I'm sitting here with a exposed Edo and like 2 enemy fleets next to it. But whoops. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened there. Tasnica?
All right. So in Europe, as expected, Russia is trying to invade me. They attempt a cheeky hostile support, expecting me to bounce myself in Poland. But I've already decided that I'm going to prioritize Russia over Sweden because I think that Russia is committing to this attack on me, because like you don't stab Poland and Ottoman year 1 unless you're planning on following through on it. B, he's a more central position and thus more coalitionable. And as you can see from his surroundings, he is getting stabbed by Safavid and Inuit and other people. So, you know, he's getting coalitioned. So, yeah, I get into Smolensk. I block his other moves. I get into Bakhchi. I am basically trying to focus him down first. Jassy, I am fully trusting Ottoman here. I cover Ruthenia because I really don't want to get stabbed by Austria. And Austria and Ruthenia
that'd be
would
brutal.
be absolutely terrible. I do a thing with the Baltic Sea where I bounce Sweden out, and if he tries anything clever, I actually get in and immediately threaten a convoy. And even with the bounce, like, yeah, it looks like it sucks to have units not move, but I can still cover Königsberg in the fall while bouncing Baltic again if I want. So, and then in Kiel, I want the Dutch army out of Bremen because the Dutch army in Bremen touches 2 of my centers, and I don't like that. So I offer to support him into Kiel, despite our not exactly great trust in each other. He also secures support from Sweden. So he's clearly playing both sides here, which I also press Sweden about. It's like, hey, the Dutch is clearly playing both of us. Maybe you'd like to have Kiel instead? Could be an alternative to killing me. Meanwhile, in Africa, I get Endikaru because people agreed I get Endikaru, and that's great. I now control both centers next to my core. And I start coring Dijon because I'm trying not to pick fights here and would love to have a second core. And Dijon's a really good spot for it. However, Portugal decides to stab me.
And France.
Yes, he stabs me and France. Notably, he also, just stabbed England last fall. So
Yeah.
Penguin is doing something that may become a bit of a theme in this game of stabbing everybody.
Oh, yeah. And
Um,
he tried to stab Mughals here after working with him, I think.
yeah, so his year 2 plan is just stab everybody. We'll see whether that ends up being a good plan or not. It's bad for me because he now has 2 units on Jacob Fort, which is not good. So I have to deal with that when I would really prefer to just be friends with everybody in West Africa. Even just having 3 centers there is great for my victory math because if I have 2 3-center colonies, that means I only need 36 in Europe instead of 42.
Yeah.
Which, 36 is still a lot to get in Europe, but it's a lot easier than 42.
Yeah, it's the same as any other 5-start power.
Yeah, exactly. Which is of course what I am in Europe. Meanwhile, in the Caribbean, the Dutch are like, yeah, just leave Gulf of Paria, and I'll forgive you for retreating there. Oh, also the Dutch built a fleet, which was like warning sign number 7.
Yeah.
That he's allied with Spain because that fleet can do literally nothing but attack me.
Yeah.
He claims it's in retaliation for me retreating to Gulf of Paria, and maybe it is, but by that point, it was already pretty clear what his intentions were. And yeah, I don't trust him at all. He's like, I promise I'll stay out of Gulf of Paria if you leave, and I'm like, sure. And then of course I don't leave, and he tries to walk in.
Yeah.
Notably, and extremely importantly, there are not 2 units on New Courland come fall, which absolutely would have happened if I'd walked out. So now I have the option of taking Barbados without losing my core, which is very important because if I lose this colony, I lose the game.
All right. I guess,
any other major events that
yeah, we can look around the world a
I
bit.
covered elsewhere? There's the Russia coalition, which is very important for me.
Yeah, Russia coalition. Pretty much.
Safavids start doing great here.
Yeah, Safavid's in a really good spot. Working
gorgeous.
with Mughals moving away. Yeah.
Notably here for me, I see Safavids start to do really well. And I start kind of telling Mughals, like, don't go into me. You need to be focusing Safavids. They're getting too strong. You need to put a check on that.
Yeah. All right. So fall moves, I guess.
Yeah.
Does that pop up? Yeah. Okay. Start off with Meepstir again.
So some good things here, and by some good things, I mean I get Hanyang, and I correctly predict that I think you, Canadian, wanted me to tap Shengjing.
Yeah, I'll get into that.
But I'm like, no, Qing is definitely going to tap Peking, and I correctly predict it. So I do that. And then up north, this is bad, obviously. I think this is I think the last turn where the moves were just not great overall. And then I start having some, I guess, spoilers for things getting better. But up here, I had kind of, after I had tapped Karakoram in the spring, I'd been like, well, that all fizzled. And I talked to Quick after, I talked to Russia, and I tell them, Well, I had something planned, but then Ching brutally stabbed me. So, like, can we just say no harm, no foul?
Mhm.
And for most of the turn, I had myself taking, I think doing Gobi supports is supported by Turfan into Karakoram. Um, but I didn't want to piss off Russia. I mean, they didn't look terrible because yet. Um, and I didn't want to create another enemy when I'm already dealing with a Mughal invasion. So
Yeah.
I just say, okay, I'll not do that. I don't really think that Ching is going to tap lands though. I really think they're going to tap Peking. But I mean, these units have nothing else to do, so I'll just do that. I think I'd change this. I change into that moveset with like an hour left. Obviously not a good play. It would have stopped me losing Turfan, which could have been very useful. And then in the south, um, we get into the issues with Ayu. And so I had had all the insults from Mughals in the spring, but then in the fall, we get into the insults from Ayu.
Hey, team.
So yeah, it was great. uh, but basically, we after that move set that was really bad in the spring, I IU just did not really respect the moveset. Obviously, they can respect a stab, but it wasn't a good moveset, and I can understand that. And they were really frustrated with me. But they seemed it seemed really frustrating for them because they understood that Mughals were a problem and they wanted to solve it, but they didn't feel like they could trust me. So we have this back and forth where I, to a large degree, really try to kowtow. Um, they're telling me, "Oh, this was stupid," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're so right. Yeah, it was really bad. I'll do better next time. I should have never do that again." That kind of press.
Yeah.
Just trying to get back in their good graces. And eventually we work out a deal where they'll tap Bamo and I'll send up to, I think, how did it work? Yeah. They would tap Bamo. I would send up to Rin Pungpa and I would grab Zinning. And then we would continue to work together. And then they send me this press saying, like, I think, and it seemed like they were on the verge of saying yes or no. It didn't seem like they were decided. And then they send me this, and all this time I had told them I'm just moving to Kolkata. Like, I'm moving to Kolkata. Feel free to bounce me, but I'm moving there. And at the end of the turn, they send me a press that says, "Is there anything concrete you can give me? Or am I just doing this with a promise you'll be better in the future?" And so I kind of feel like I'm in a bind. I kind of feel like, well, even if I like grab Kolkata, that's not exactly a huge win in the long run. It's 1 dot. It pretty much just means I have one less retreat, which is useful in this war, but having Ayu on side is so much more important. So I basically tell them, okay, uh, if you need a concrete, I will let you take Kolkata. I'll try to gun it for Sassuram in case they don't cover it. Um, and then they stab me. So they send Bay of Bengal to Andaman, which doesn't go through. It just gets stopped. They could have grabbed Kolkata. And I understand they get Kunming out of this. It's a reasonable move set to make. Um, but it definitely burned a lot. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of other things.
The colonial
It's-
collaboration really bites them here. Spain taps
Yeah.
their
oh
support.
yeah, yeah, which is good for me. I don't want to see an IU getting far into there like that. Kind of does it. And again, this is like at this point I'm starting to, I think, send, I don't know when I sent out the first one, but this might have been around the time I sent out that first message to you, Canadian, where I'm like, if things don't go well, I could be a janissary for you.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, so I'm not feeling too confident with my turn, but it's not over yet. So I say, okay, let's buckle down. Hopefully we can do better in the next one. And yeah.
All right. For me, I guess I'll start with the Ching stuff. So Haishinwai is guaranteed here, just with that support. can't support it with the fleet. No, nothing else around, so that one's easy. With Pyongyang here, it's kind of hard to see with all the stuff on here, but I remember when we first finished the spring moves, I was absolutely terrified that Qing was going to offer you a deal where she's just like, okay, let me keep Shenjing and Hanyang, and I'll just give you supports into both, or not Fusan. She would just support you into Fusan and Pyongyang, one with Shenjing, one with Hanyang, keeps her with 2, keeps you with 2, is able to get you like both demilitarized and stuff if you guys want to work against Russia because Russia's still attacking her. Like right when I saw the moves, I was like, oh fuck, she's probably gonna offer that like immediately. That's just exactly what I would do. So I came to Ming and I was like, okay. I can't remember exactly. It was something stupid where I was like, I'm gonna support I want you to tap Shenjing and I'm gonna tap Hanyang just so like she can't offer you the support. Or I was gonna use Pyongyang to tap Hanyang so that if she tried to offer you support into Fusan, it wouldn't work, and that would like disincentivize you to actually take it if she did. And then
continue.
Yeah, and I said I would support you in with Fusan, but I would tap it at the same time. And then I wanted Bazili C to tap Shenjing so she couldn't support herself, do exactly this moveset, what she's doing.
Yeah.
But I wasn't actually planning on doing that. I had 2 different movesets in mind. One was this one where I support hold myself so she can't do it, and then I support Ming in. Another one I was gonna do was I was gonna support myself into Hanyang, use Pyongyang to support Fusan in, and then I would end up with all of Korea by the end of the second year. But I was like, oh shit, I feel like I could still use Ming here. Like if I do stab you in the back, that's almost gonna guarantee you two both do eventually work with each other against me, and then I have a hard time pushing any further than Korea because I need like Ming's support to get anywhere up here and stuff. And then you would also have a fleet still in Yellow Sea to like bug me with and stuff. So I was like, I'll be nice here. I'll give him the support, and I'll try and keep this relationship good so we can like continue working against Qing in the future instead of just taking like the 1 dot stab.
Yeah.
But I was really tempted to go for like triple Japanese Korea on here too.
We did have some press here, me and Qing.
Yeah.
It was can we make a peace deal? And her terms were return Pyongyang to me, move Bazili and Yellow Sea south to prepare for a joint attack against Toku.
Yeah.
Which, not a starter, unfortunately.
No.
And we couldn't make it work.
Yeah, I totally think she should have did that offer I said, but
yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. Here is kind of fucking stupid looking, but I thought so long about this moveset here. Like this is probably the longest moveset I thought about in the game. So what I was originally thinking, I can't remember. I think I was gonna support hold Bonin and then use NPO1 to tap Philippine Sea. And then I was just gonna for here, I was talking to Portugal, and Portugal's telling me I was trying to get him to tap Formosa originally. I think I was just gonna support into Ryukyu, but he was telling me like he doesn't want to go to Formosa. He thinks Salt's gonna cover it. But what he's gonna do is he's gonna leak to a bunch of people that he is going to Formosa, and hopefully that gets back to the Dutch, so he goes there. And then when I was looking at this from Dutch's position, I'm like, what else does Ryukyu do other than cover Formosa here? Like, if you want Kyushu tapped, you got the Spanish fleet here. There's no real point to like support Okinawa. There's no point to really do anything else. So I really felt like there's a high probability he just walks to Formosa, and I don't need to use Kyushu to go in there. So Kuroshio current. So I felt like I could just do that walk in immediately, which just leaves these 2 units to do anything. I have these 3 units. So I was like, I can support Bonin and then cut Philippine Sea. So like if they go, I was also thinking Spain might like cut me here.
You could also cut both, right? Just tap both fleets and then they can't get Bonin no matter what.
1 second. Yeah, I think that was also the Kuroshio taps Okinawa, and then that one taps Philippine Sea. I think that's what I was doing. But eventually, I got greedy, and I was talking to Inuit, and he was telling me he like wasn't covering Koryax, and he was gonna go because he is getting attacked hard here by Athapaska and Ute. And he's telling me he's gonna like go to Gulf of Ander to defend or something like that. So I was like, okay, Koryax is gonna be sitting there open. I can either play this game where I keep Bonin, or I can go for the snipe on Koryax and possibly keep Bonin if Philippine C is the supporter. And then that should get me like +2 here overall, even if I lose Bonin. And then +3 in a good scenario where I take Ryuku, cover Koryax, and he uses Philippine as the supporter. And what else? I was always thinking about that, which is the
scary,
yeah. So I was like,
Overlanded
okay, if I try to use Kuroshio to support Bonin and that doesn't work, like that's just a stupid move. So I really want Kuroshio to be a mover. And I was thinking Philippine was gonna be the one to support for some reason. I was thinking like he wasn't gonna leave me Philippine C to ever walk into. Like he'd want to keep a fleet there and maybe support Dutch, especially because Dutch was looking like he's gonna lose Ryuku. So I was like, okay, the most likely moveset's probably he supports Dutch in. And even if he doesn't, then I'll get into Philippine C. If he does tap here, I get my fleet blown up. But if he doesn't, then I get the retreat back to Kyushu. I have a really strong position here. And then I was really expecting to get Koryax and Ryuku too. But that obviously, this one didn't work, which yeah. Okay, so this here was like my biggest regret of the game strategic wise, because I felt like I had a pretty good rapport with Inuit at this point. Like I was talking to Tasnica and stuff, and he's telling me all the people who I'm talking to that are like pro me, and you brought up like Inuit was pro me. I think I was talking to a few other people and they were saying like Inuit was gonna work with me. And then also whoops. Inuit also has this like massive problem over here with getting
paused.
fucking completely oh what?
There we go.
Okay, sorry.
That's better.
Yeah, he's getting like attacked super hard here. So I was like, okay, I should. In retrospect, I should have just let him get attacked, been a friend, and then attacked him in like a year or two. But I was getting greedy, like, he's probably not going to be building much. Like, I could steal a build here. He won't be able to retaliate against me. Like, I'll just go +1 there. But, yeah, he actually ends up bouncing this out. And Ute and Atha both tell me that he says he's going to do this before he does. But since they were both at war with him, I'm like, he's probably lying to them. Like, he's probably not doing what he says. But he did end up covering it. And then I think this, like, shatters Inuit and my relationship going forward from here. We pretty much, like, lie to each other, like, 50% of the time the rest of the game after this move, so just a big regret. Also because I could have kept Bonin here by just fucking sending that to Philippine C, or I could have also sent it to Halmahera, and then that puts even more pressure if I get on in Philippine.
I mean, are you kind of happy with how this ends up? Because, like, obviously losing Bonin is awful from a Dots perspective, but,
Yeah.
like, the uncontested walk into Dots in the Philippines is, from a strategic position, is just, like, it just opens it up so much earlier than you otherwise would have made it.
Yeah, so I
If they,
actually
like, had
don't
retreated.
hate, like, I don't even consider this, like, a bad move on my part. It's kind of silly, and it can be looked at as a bad move, but like you said, it's such a strong strategic position, and just to spoil a bit, like, it causes Spain to start pulling fleets back from his other attacks, and it also makes him, like, he can't keep pushing forward against me with all these other fleets he has, like, even if he's in Bonin and NPO, because he needs to get Philippine C back, or I'm just going to start messing with him. So it, like, totally kills his tempo to give me that C tile.
Yeah,
there.
Bonin is kind of a trap in that way, though. On the other hand, imagine if you were also in Halmahera.
Yeah, no, that would
Yeah.
so 100%. That's why I think this was like my biggest mistake, because this moveset would have been so much better if I just like went to Halmahera too, and then I have 2 on Zambo for the next year. Like, I can I have 2 extra builds that I can still build and like come to put more pressure on Bonin. I have Ryuku. Like, it would have been a good spot, but whoops. Anyway, we'll go to
We'll see how much
Tasnica.
it burns you in the long run.
Yeah.
You might lose the game off that mistake. I wouldn't be surprised.
That's how I think on every mistake I make. I'm like, fuck, what if that cost me the whole
Yeah.
game? What if I go
I can
looking
relate.
back and I'm like, fuck, that was it?
Yeah.
But yeah.
So over in Europe, I am in this huge fight with Russia. Our press has really deteriorated. Basically, every single time I try to talk with him to de-escalate, he's basically just gotten mad at me and re-escalated in press. So relations are not great. I don't think he's gotten to the point where he's just gunboating me yet, but that is coming up. And yeah, he forces Bakchi back, which is unfortunate. He gets into Smolensk, which also isn't great. I continue trying to make something work with Sweden, despite him stabbing me every turn, because, well, I've already got one person death warring me. I would really like to talk at least one of them out of it. But no, Sweden convoys into me and continues pressing his attack. However, he also joins the Penguin School of Diplomacy by simultaneously stabbing the Dutch and the English. The Dutch successfully, the English not successfully. Let's see. Meanwhile, in Africa, I decide to cover my core and not finish the Degen core. I could have made the bold choice of finishing the core and just hoping to juke out Portugal. But the main reason I went with it wasn't because I was certain Portugal would press the attack. I felt there was an okay chance he backs off here, but more that I actually wanted an excuse to build more units in Europe. And having my colonial cores covered on this particular year meant that I couldn't build in my colonies, despite growing in them. Like, I get Endikaru, I get Barbados. Like, both my colonies are growing this year, but I want to build in Europe again because I think my colonies are stable enough that I need to drop a few more Europe units in order to turn this situation around. Like, I am dedicated to my colonies, but I'm not just completely abandoning Europe.
Yeah, makes sense. These don't seem like they're in such immediate danger as like your European theater at all. Like, they're obviously in danger if people attack them, but you're fully under attack.
Yeah, I got the second builds necessary in both of them, and critically, both of those got me a dot in year 2. So, like, those absolutely paid off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try something clever here in New Courland, where I leak some stuff to Salt, in the hope that he'll pass it on to Spain, and that Spain will try to snipe New Courland, which will result in me getting Barbados, but also keeping Gulf of Paria. Because despite Salt repeatedly claiming that he's never moving to Gulf of Paria, and that this is the DMZ that will make our relationship work. Yeah, I don't believe it one bit. But no, they see through it. But oh well. There was no way I was leaving New Courland just completely open and uncovered. So I think this was the right move set.
Yeah, makes sense.
Makes sense.
Do we want to check in on the South Americans? We've kind of neglected them most this game because it's not as directly connected.
Yeah.
So obviously I've been trying really hard to create this, to encourage this South American triple.
Which, I mean, is it going well right now?
Looks like Guarani and Mapuche always do like weird
They're
things.
doing some fun stuff.
But I think it looks pretty good there. I remember all the time I'd look and it would look agreed, and then like I'd talk to Mapuche and he'd be like, I can't believe Guarani moved to this spot or something like that. And I'd be like, oh god.
There was basically constant drama here.
Yeah.
The downside to becoming a matchmaker is that you also have to become a relationship counselor.
Oh,
And I was in multiple trio chats with the
Right.
South Americans trying to mediate between them and keep them all working together so that they can, decisively defeat all of the colonials on the continent.
Hmm.
And it was a constant struggle, mostly between Guarani and Mapuche, who did not trust each other one bit and were very frequently butting heads.
Yeah, I remember I was probably not as much as you, but I remember I tried my hat at it a few times, like trying to get them to work together and like go after Portugal or go to Africa or something like that. But yeah. Um, what else we got?
Yes, Ajuran, maybe that kind of area. I don't feel like we.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about Africa much, or at least East Africa.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't pay too much attention to this area for like the first
Me
half of the
neither.
game. So, but
I paid a lot of attention because I was pressing every single player every single year.
yeah,
Um,
you
I don't
can
know how
put
you
that
do it,
down
man.
then.
I mean, I wanted a regional triple to
Fair enough. yeah.
fight all the colonials
Yeah.
together and keep pressure on them.
Makes sense.
And there's definitely pressure on the Dutch. Obviously, the anti-Dutch Spain thing was the most successful part of this. But Audron is definitely in a tough spot, getting invaded by the other two regionals. So kind of like in Asia, it's more of a regional duo that's been successfully created, and just sort of sucks to be Audron at this point. Like, he is fighting Portugal, which I'm happy about, but I'm kind of like in this weird position where I kind of want him to die quickly, just similar with Qing at this point in the game, so that the regionals can get back to, targeting
Fighting the
bigger
colonials.
threats.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But on the other hand, every once in a while I'll kind of poke at them like, hey, any chance you could all make up and work together? The colonials are all looking pretty scary, and we wouldn't want to put Audron in a desperate position where he decides to vassalize himself to one of them or anything like that. So consider friendship.
Yeah.
We'll see how well that all turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Mapuche here. There's like a funny little sequence where Portugal
Nice little
walks out
combo.
and he walks in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to add, or?
I think that's good for year 2.
I guess yeah. Safavids continue to do great. Yeah, I think that's.
All right. Okay, Winter 43.
What do I take off the board here? I take off. Oh yeah, it just one of my fleets goes,
And
and
Morocco
then
down here.
Morocco, because it's not going to do anything. I think I take off Morocco instead of the other fleet, mainly because I think Canadian would stab me otherwise.
Yeah, I think we were planning. I think I was offering you Shenzhen
yeah.
too.
You were offering me Shenzhen, and I'm not sure. You might actually give it to me. But you also might not. I'm not sure. We'll have to see.
I remember talking with you this phase 2 about your disbands, and Morocco
Yeah.
coming up. I think another big goal was to get Mughal and Ayu fighting, because that'd be the best way to save your southern position.
Yeah, and
Instead
Morocco
of,
just gets in the way.
the two players that hate you, go fight each other, please.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and also I'd like to say, like you can see here, it's a little bit grainy for me. Is that a army or a fleet in a Kolkata?
Fleet.
Fleet. Okay, yeah, but still, like if you look at the whole Mughal position, like they have what? They have an army Yongchang, they have an army Bamo, they have an army Ringpungpa, Turfan, Zangpa. They're sending Sasaram definitely to the east. And then they have 2 fleets in Kolkata and that sea right there.
Yeah.
And then I think, how many total units do they have in the north? Like they have Kabul, but Kabul might be heading over to help with the war. And what I'm trying to get at here is Mughals are starting to very heavily commit into attacking me and not care about the massive Safavids that just keep getting bigger.
And he
on
just
their
built
border.
Herat too.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I don't think necessarily it'll guaranteed happen every turn, any particular turn, but they're very much playing with fire, putting all this pressure on me.
Mhm.
I'll just say that.
Yeah. For me, I think I asked for the Hanyang disband, like just one
You
one
did, yeah.
fleet or something. Ching wasn't really talking to me at this point. I think right after I stabbed her, she said like I need to give her back her centers or she's not gonna ever work with me. And
Yeah.
Meepstir was telling me the same thing, like she wasn't really amiable to making peace again. So I was like, okay, we're gonna fight. Inuit again, no fleet Carrick's west coast, which is the one thing I want. So now this whole area up here is only being guarded by a single Qing fleet, like 6 centers or something like that. So I was pretty happy with that. Spain builds a fleet here to defend me from getting his stuff, which makes sense. And yeah, it's main stuff on my end.
I think Tass is more interesting over here.
Oh wait, my builds. What did I build? Just the 2 fleets here. Ito, because there's fucking 3 hostile fleets right next to it. And
Yeah.
then Kyushu. I think I was originally gonna think about going to Mori, but I needed to be able to support hold Ryukyu here because Kyushu is cuttable. And then if he gets into Ryukyu with like Formosa, they have 5 fleets on Kuroshio and stuff. So I wanted that to be able to support Ryukyu in spring.
I think I had it every single time, and it happened like pretty much every turn by the end, but I think every time I saw a fleet plop down Kyushu, I had a mini heart attack. Especially when it's not a full build, like when I'm seeing like you build, like obviously you want to be able to send Ryuku, but when I see you build Kyushu and not like Osaka or something, I'm like, it's never been more over for me.
Yeah, I remember I checked in with you before I did this too, because I think I originally told you I was gonna go Amori, and then I looked at the
then you
position,
changed.
and I was like, wait, I gotta go Kyushu here. They're just gonna destroy me. But yeah, that happens throughout the game where I like always put down one, and I feel like you're gonna be a little worried, but then like you're always super chill with me, and I was like,
Oh yeah, I'm chill and pressed.
Yes.
We'll get to what the. I mean, you remember how chill I was after the whole Chichihard debacle, but we'll get eventually to what my internal monologue was like there.
All right, Tasnica over in Europe.
Yeah, so I have 3 builds, and I have intentionally covered my colonial cores so that those 3 builds have to go into Europe. And a big part of that is actually Austria. I get the sense that Austria is eyeing a stab on me, that he would love the opportunity to join in and try to take my dots. So I really want to be able to build an army in Krakow without Austria being able to complain about it.
Mhm.
And having only 3 open cores to build in means that I am forced to build Army Krakow.
Yeah,
It's just something that has to happen. I'm sorry.
unfortunate mistake.
Yeah. So now, of course, Austria, this is just deterrence. I also have to deal with the 2 players that have been, attacking me nonstop since year 1, Russia and Sweden. Both of whom are at war with lots of other people. Russia by other people's choice, and Sweden by his own choice. So my hope, of course, is that by being a really tough nut to crack and just causing as much trouble for both of these powers as I can, that eventually they will break. That they will either piece me out or that they will die.
I like that strategy.
Russia seems to be choosing the latter because he is pressing me less and less, and what press there is not friendly. I am not happy about Russia essentially gunboating me at this stage in the game, given that, he was the one who stabbed me and kind of initiated every stage of aggression. normally when a player just like stops pressing you altogether and just completely cuts you out, sometimes you deserve it. Sometimes you really betrayed them or stabbed them a bunch, or but Russia, I've been fairly open and upfront with most of the game. And I certainly haven't been the one doing the stabbing. But I'm getting gunboated anyway, and I'm unhappy about that. So I want them to die and be removed from this game by virtue of having no centers left. Sweden, meanwhile, is at least doing press with me. That press is lying and stabbing me basically every single phase that I try to make something work. Thus, I'm building another fleet because I'm Poland getting stabbed by Sweden every single phase. But at least his builds this year are a tiny bit promising. Like, F. Trondheim is great. Now, again, he just stabbed England, so kind of necessary. Army Stockholm is less reassuring, given that he clearly wants to convoy into me more.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I've got 2 big powers attacking me, and a third probably eyeing me and waiting for his chance. So, not a whole lot of choice there.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then, of course, in the colonies, I don't build
Yeah,
because my
can't
course
build.
covered.
Any other people's builds that are interesting?
Let's just take a quick look. Autumn builds an army in Timbuktu, but she is like my ride or die ally at this point. Because, well, I need her to be.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I think she needs me to be as well. Like,
Yeah, she's in a terrible spot too.
Yeah, me steadfastly sticking with her, I believe, has had at least some contribution to her recovery from year 1. So I'm hoping that that will pay off for me. And I've got enough other issues to deal with that even if I'm not confident in that, I have to act like I am anyway, because I have no other choice. In the Caribbean, the Dutch build an army, so at least they don't build another fleet, which is nice. And England builds an army in Belize. So at least England is going to be fighting Spain. Speaking of which, was last fall the turn where the EF imploded? Yes. Oh, sorry. The first turn that the EF imploded.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yes. Yeah, I went back to the fall moves. This is the turn where the England covers like all of their centers against France.
That's right. They were gonna attack Philadelphia and Amsterdam or something. They were like totally set up, and then England totally bails out, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't really even stab France, more just like leaves him hanging while moving on to all of his cores.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then moves into English Channel and stuff, I think too.
Yes. So basically like England like is like full counter stab this turn against a stab that doesn't actually happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. You never I've really noticed that I think high level players really don't ever like to cover dots. And I think this kind of situation is exactly why. Because this is just brutal.
Yeah, it usually just like wastes your tempo unless it's almost guaranteed to be covered or tapped.
Mm-hmm. And while colonials fighting each other is ostensibly pretty good for us, the EF imploding is less so because they're one of the major rivals to the Dutch and Spanish.
Yeah.
The Dutch, of course, having a field day. I believe as of winter, yeah, they're top of the leaderboard as a result. So the Dutch and Spanish were getting coalitioned, by all the regionals as a result of our efforts. But thanks to the EF imploding, the Dutch end up as board top anyway.
Yeah, I remember I specifically wanted them to work together too, because one, they were supposed to fight the Inuits, and I'm planning to go fight the Inuits eventually. And then two, England and France both have zero things around me at all. So they're like the two Portugal has a little colony here. Obviously, Spain and Dutch are both attacking me, so those are the ones I want to do the worst. But England and France, I'm like happy for them to do good.
Yeah, no, same here. Because while they could kill my colonies, there are other colonials that are trying to kill my colonies more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, at least for now, I don't want the EF breaking in year 2.
Yeah, same here. Oh yeah, and then they also pressure these regionals, which can be a long-term threat for me too. Okay,
Yeah,
moves,
so
I guess.
major diplomatic victory for the Dutch there.
Go on, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Start with Meepstir again.
Okay. So honestly, I'm not even that upset about this moveset in particular. So at this turn, it kind of continues into that thing I talked about earlier with Ezio and with Ayu, where they're not really reaching out. So we'd been really obviously, like, at the beginning of spring last year, things were tense, and I had stabbed them at that spring, and then in that fall they'd stabbed me, and things were an incredibly passive aggressive press channel by and by. And then at the beginning of this phase, before these moves go through, I send some press over to basically be like, hey, we've been on a really bad foot. Things have not been going well. But like I wanna reconcile. I wanna make things work. How can we do that? So I ask him, and he basically just tells me, you're bad at the game, and that's why I'm not working with you. Which isn't great. And then I say, I can understand why you think that. Is there anything I can do to like make things work? And then he tells me I want to find the exact wording, because I do think that it was probably I feel like it was definitely a thing that didn't have to end like this, but I definitely think the ways that we understood it
Like an unforced error sort of thing.
kind of like he says something in press and I interpret it one way.
Oh,
And I interpret it, yeah. So yeah, basically I can't find the exact wording, but basically he tells me something along the lines of, well, once Spain and Dutch aren't allied, I think we can make something work against Mughals. So I'm not sure if that was meant to just be like idle chatter about the board state, but the way I kind of interpreted it was like, okay, yeah, if you want to start working against Mughals together, break the Spain Dutch alliance.
Yeah.
And so I'm just kind of like, what the fuck? Like, there's nothing I can even work with here. So I just kind of figure, what the hell? I'm not gonna go try and do more groveling this turn. I just kind of shut off the press for that time. And I go talk to Mughals, and we actually do come to a deal. Mughals would have sent Bamo to Ava, I think supported by Yongchang. Ring Pungpa would have gone down to Kunming. And supposedly I was gonna let I think Song Pa walk into Zinning. I meant to bounce it, obviously, but like I felt that wasn't too he wouldn't be too mad. Like, if I actually give the support to Kunming, he's getting really far south. He can make good progress. I get some strength off my back. And in return, he also helps me up north. He supports Gobi into Karakoram, and I send my other unit up there into Russia. So, and I think both of us think that Mughal should have taken the steal here. I definitely think he regrets not taking it, and he said so at the very least, and he said so after the game. And I think this is really the last chance that Mughals and me have to kind of work together, because past this, he's so deep into my territory that I can't really I can't really make anything work because I just need these dots. Zin, like I can make do with him having Ring Pungpa and that being a border, but past there, I kind of just need to fight him.
Yeah, makes sense.
Um,
I think that
That's
does
kind of the
make sense
trend.
too. Because right here, you're pretty weak overall, and like Ayutaya's in a pretty decent position, and he's left himself like really open to Mughals here. And that's like a
yeah.
really nice path for Mughals to go in and like take this whole coast and like all this area and stuff.
Mhm. And I think it's also kind of interesting because after the turn ends, I get another press from Ayutthaya, and he says, "So, like, what the fuck is Mughals even telling you that like gets you to believe these kind of things? Like, you walked out of Xining."
Yeah.
And then I finally kind of blow up on him myself. I crash out a little, and we just kind of get to like a kind of cooler thing. I think there's still definitely some tension there, but things get to a more workable situation, I'd say, at least for a little bit.
Mhm.
Because I mean, if you can see here, like had I been able to work out with Ayu, we could have stopped me from. I could have probably gotten back Ring Pungpa. I could have like he supports Zining
Yeah, you
into
support
Rin
Chengdu.
Pungpa, and I do that, and then suddenly we're doing really well.
Yeah.
Maybe I even dot Macau, or I think this is spring though, but so I wouldn't do that. But um,
It would still work though.
Yeah, it's like there's this really interesting dynamic where like IU won't offer you deals because it doesn't
yeah,
trust you, while Moogle will offer you deals but stab
it's
on
gonna stab me. Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, like kind of what I tell, like Ayu comes to me and tells me, "Why the fuck did you take that deal? It's horrible. You get stabbed." I mean, one like I didn't really have any counterplay against this moveset. Like really like
Yeah.
okay, Mughals is stabbing me like this. What am I gonna change? I can't stop him from taking Xining. Um, I guess I can stop him from moving his units up out of Ayu, which would have been nice. But again, it's like it's not a crazy addition to it.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're already backed into a corner here.
so
Like you don't.
I'm just like there's a 90% chance Mughals are stabbing me, but on the 10% chance he isn't, this like improves my position a lot. So might as well take that. Yeah. I think also Portugal moves out, so I just have the Macau is open.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah,
Oh, you can
I
actually
think
snipe it and fall still.
yeah, and no, and they can't even block it. Like
Yeah.
I can straight. I think I do tell them next year that I'm taking Macau, and they're just like, please don't, and then I do it anyways. um, yeah, okay, but yeah, are things going well over there in for you? I think things are going good in Korea, right?
Yeah. Can't remember exactly. I do end up eventually asking you to support me into Shenzhen. I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like we agree to DMZ here. Like I say, I'll put Fusan and Pyongyang. I'll go here if you support my army into Shenzhen, and then
Oh yes.
that gives me ability to like keep pushing north instead of ever attacking you.
Yeah, and
And then
yeah,
yeah.
I remember that.
Here just kind of like basic tactics, supporting out. He supports in. I tried to cut Bonin, but he oh yeah, this is funny. He actually gives me a retreat here, so I'm able to retreat to Zambo. And then he has to boot me out of there. I slip into Halmahera here, which gives me a free walk into Monado in the fall. Inuit, because I tried to dot him, he's now scared about me. So instead of going to deal with all this shit that he's getting attacked with, oh yeah, Russia has also slipped into Arctic Ocean and is fucking with him from the top. So he was getting so attacked here, but because I tried to dot him, he feels the need to come defend against me here, which I'm pretty sad about. Maybe he does this I tried to think like if I do let him walk into Koryax, he probably still goes to Curl C the next turn. So maybe it's not terrible, but I don't know. I just didn't like pissing Inuit off when I didn't really have to. Yeah, that's about that. Use this to support Kuroshio because I do not want anyone getting in there. Since it connects to 4 of my dots, it also gives a retreat to Shikoku. and that can go into like Kyoto and then into Aki Sea, and I just did not want them ever getting into Kuroshio. Can't remember what else. Oh, Mapuche also told me that this was. I was gonna go for it anyway because I didn't. There's like nothing really here that's gonna cover it. But Mapuche was also like leaking to me Dutch's moves, saying Dutch isn't gonna cover that or something. Yeah, that's about it for me. Yeah, Tasnica.
All right, so in Europe, I am doing defensive tactics. I am being attacked, like, despite the fact that Russia's getting coalitioned, and Sweden's at war with almost everybody. They're both hitting me really hard, and I basically bounce just about everything. You see lots and lots of red lines. I do
Yes.
lose one army, but given the sheer scale of the forces arrayed against me,
An army isn't a dot.
yeah, an
Yeah.
army isn't a dot. And those builds were pretty darn useful because Austria, as predicted, immediately tries to join in and stab me.
Yeah.
And gets absolutely nothing out of it because I see it coming and I counter it. Unfortunately, that means I'm now fighting 3 people in Europe.
Does Lubeck get popped here too?
Lubeck
I think it does.
does get popped here because of the Austria stab.
Yeah.
So Austria gets nothing, but Sweden gets yet another build. I find this again. I figured Austria might do this. I don't think it was a great play by Austria. I don't think it particularly benefits him. But I did see it coming, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm now fighting for my life against 3 people in Europe, and still trying to press with all of them. One of them's gunboating me, so they're out. But I'm still constantly pressing Austria to be like, hey, there's better things you could be doing. All of these wars have been initiated by you guys. I've been trying to leave you alone.
Yeah, he's getting
Not too
attacked
late.
by France here too.
Yeah, like there's other things you could be doing rather than picking unnecessary fights with Poland. Feel free to leave at any time. I will defend you. I'll defend as best as I can in the interim, and attempt to be maximally frustrating, which I'm successful with Russia. Less so with Sweden, because Sweden just has pretty overwhelming force and neighbors that love helping Sweden get dots. Like, also England is moving all sorts of stuff away from Sweden, despite getting just stabbed by Sweden. Like, Sweden just walks into North Sea.
Yeah.
Iceland's open. So Sweden's having a great game, despite constantly stabbing everybody, because everyone wants to kill Poland. Let's see if Africa's doing any better. In Africa, no one wants to kill Poland.
Looks good.
My press is actually paying off here. Being like, hey, guys, I just want these 3 centers. I just want to chill in my colony. I'm gonna hang out and protect my core. Please leave me alone. And people do in fact leave me alone, which is very nice.
Nice.
Instead, they're all fighting each other, which is great. Love to see it. Let's see how my other chaos game is going. Caribbean. The Dutch are like, hey, I know Gulf of Para is like the eternal DMZ that is key to peace between us. But just so you know, I'm going to leave. I'm going to walk out of Gulf of Paria. Don't worry about it. So you can like just ignore me and go fight Spain. And I'm like, yeah, sure, Jan. And I kick him out of Gulf of Paria. And I'm like, hey, Dutch, you built this fleet that's been basically pure anti-Poland. Here's a chance to disband it. I clearly want to fight Spain here and get Caracas back. I've been fighting him literally the entire game. There is nothing but evidence that I want to fight Spain here. And you claim to not be Spain's best friend forever in a big alliance with him. So you clearly you don't care about his interests that much, right? Get rid of the fleet. You can even send the army back to Palermo if you want. I'm not going to dot you when I can just support myself into Caracas, which the Spanish can't support hold.
Yeah.
And of course, Salt decides to not accept this offer and say, no, how dare you ask me to disband a fleet that can do nothing but attack you after you so rudely dislodged me from the Gulf of Paria. That is the eternal DMZ, but I'm about to leave. Oh, I think I did get one laugh out of him. You good?
No, he's just also supporting France into a tile that's adjacent to Barbados.
Yes. It's I did get one laugh out of him at least. I managed to break up the, how dare you ask me to disband your fleet or disband my fleet after kicking me out of blah blah blah. I sent him an invoice for towing. His fleet out of the demilitarized zone. And he does keep it anyway. He retreats. But this does thaw the press a little bit in a way that might pay off a bit slightly later.
All right. I did want to mention one thing too here that I forgot. I dislodged this fleet in Strait of Tartary, and the reason I went for this moveset was because I wasn't expecting Inuit to come here. So if she was to go to what was it? Yeah, if she retreats to Ainu, then I just use Strait of Tartary to walk straight into Sahelian, and then I can support myself, or I can cover Haishinwai with Oriental Sea and use Hamyang to go into Shenjing. But because Inuit went here, it gives her the option to go to Ainu, and then I can't take Sahelian. So I was going to go down one, and I was asking Inuit, I was like, hey, do you mind if she retreats there? Do you mind if I just walk into Sahelian? And he says, I do mind. I actually want to keep Ching strong here, and I'd rather her have the dot than you. And I was like, oh fuck. So I asked. So I told him that if Ching retreats to Sahelian, I will support him into Sahelian. And I went back and read the chat, and he actually did ask her to go to Sahelian, so he would do that. And his plan was to snipe Ainu. And I knew he would snipe Ainu if he did that. So like the second she retreated to Sahelian, I was like, all right, I'm covering Ainu, and I'm not supporting him in there. But he kind of let me know, like by telling me that he wanted her to have dots over me. I was like, okay, he's 100% like gonna try to snipe Ainu instead of trying to go for Sahelian, even if I did offer the support.
Yeah, cue to have a chat with Oot and Athapaska about, hey, hurry up on the whole killing Inuit thing, please.
Yeah, they're going for it hard here, but he defends very well a lot of the time, and they have Russia here. But
oh yeah, Inuit's tactical ability is incredible.
Yeah, very good.
He makes so many good plays this game against the two of them.
Okay, fall moves. Okay, start Meepstir again.
Yeah. Okay, I think. Okay, so I think I lose a coin flip here. I can't exactly. How is it a coin flip again? Yeah, because I could have supported Lanzo to
Shinning.
Yes, but if I do that, then he
He
has the
keeps it.
option of supporting Zinning to Chengdu and then
Yeah.
sending Turfan to Lanzo. So it's a coin flip, I lose. unfortunately. I dot Macau. Very nice. And Ezio moves on. Make some moves.
Yep.
Ezio makes some
Moving
moves. I
towards
convince him
Muggles.
to do some things towards Muggles. Haven't fully gotten a complete thawing of press yet, but it's better, and we're in a state where I feel like we can make a deal, and probably a deal that doesn't feel like I'm cutting off my leg, to give to him. And then I also managed to hold the 2 dots in Russia,
Yep, nice there.
which is definitely nice. We take those 2, and I think this is actually Quick's last turn in the game before he subs out. So,
I think he gives one more because I remember I asked him for a Highland Pow tap. I think next spring, and
Okay.
he gives it.
that would make sense. I remember it's soon, because I remember I had just gotten both of these dots when who was it that came in? Sam?
Sam,
I
yeah.
think. Yeah. So although I do lose Lanzo and I lose Zinning, I'm actually positive here. So
Yeah,
because
plus one.
Macau and the 2 Russian dots. So I managed to spread out. Could be worse. Russia's doing poorly. Qing's on its deathbed. I think I end up supporting. Yeah, I end up supporting you to Shengjing.
Yep.
Um.
She's
I
down to 2 here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm pretty. I would have loved to get the coin flip correct. Because it would have stalled a little bit more. But overall, I wasn't too upset with the turn overall.
Yep, pretty good for the spot it's in.
Yeah.
Me, she did retreat to Sahilian, and he tries to do the Ainu snipe, which I block. If he would have actually took the fake support to Sahilian, I would have walked in, she would have walked out, and he would have walked in. So he would have got that if he believed my lie, but he didn't trust me.
Would she have been down to 1 dot there?
Yeah, she would have just had Highland
Man.
Pow left, and that would have been it.
Damn.
Here. Oh yeah. I get Salt fucking stabs King of Prussia here. This one, I really want to ask him like how much I led into this, because the only other spot he stabs Spain is here, and it's not a very good one. I sent him like such a large text wall. So every turn since they attacked me, I was talking to both of them like, hey, like one of you attacks, telling them to attack each other and how I was gonna support, and they were never really giving me anything. And then I remember this turn, I think I woke up one morning, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna really, really try and flip Salt here. And I went down and like broke down so much shit. Like I was like, okay, in this area, Spain has like been running you around. You've just been doing his work and you haven't got shit. So from the attack on me, all that's happened is you have lost Ryukyu and you have given him Bonin Islands. So he's gotten one thing. I say like, I'm getting more position on you here. He was supposed to help you attack Ayu here, but because he's doing bad tactics and letting me retreat into his own centers, he's having to pull everything back off of Ayu to defend himself against me, while Ayu is coming here and starting to take your dots. So he's like not helping you out at all in this area, and you're actually just benefiting him. In South America, I was saying he's starting shit with all these people around you, like Poland, Aymara and stuff, and they're all attacking him. And now he's just getting himself dragged into this big war where they're all like, he's hitching himself to a dead horse pretty much. Spain's dying in North America, Spain's dying in South America. He's doing bad or he's doing all right here. But I think I was saying like Portugal's eventually gonna stab him and he's gonna die. Like you're just allying the wrong person. You're getting literally nothing out of it. You're helping him out. It was such a long text. And then I told him like, I have been totally honest with you this whole game. Like I didn't take Ryukyu when I could have. I've told you every move I've told you has been true. I'm gonna continue to be true with you. I'm gonna take Monado here, but if you attack Spain here, like I will move it out next turn, and I'll send it back to Halmahera or something, and I'll start going for Philippines. But if you continue working with Spain, I'm gonna lock you in as like a permanent enemy with me. I'm gonna cooperate with Mapuche against you here. Like the whole rest of the game, I'm gonna treat you both as a unit, and I'm gonna attack you both. Like, this is the last chance I'll give you. And at the very end of it, or something, I was like, I'll give you a support to Bonin, and like you can take it or not. And all he messaged, I think it was like a 1 sentence reply, like, "Yep, I'll take the support to Bonin." And I was like, "Oh, he's not gonna take it. Like that was totally worthless." But then he just took it anyway. And yeah, I was pretty proud of that one. But
Well, that's the cult classic, right? He always says yes and then decides later whether he'll actually do it.
yeah, it was just funny because
Yeah.
like I sent him so much and he sent me a 1 sentence reply, or like very short, and I was just like, "There's no
wanna
way he's
see
taking
this.
it," but it worked. And then yeah, I get a dislodge from Zambo here, but I get into Monado, so that's like even there, or +1, I guess. I get Shenjing there. Don't lose Ainu. I think I go +2 here. 1, 2. With Ute, I start like my kind of alliance with him here, where we agree to bounce Hawaii and Edo on NPO3, and then he cuts NPO4 with North Equatorial Current, so that way both of Spain's fleets are cut no matter what he does. If he goes for like Hawaii,
nice.
if he goes for Edo, he can't get a supported attack, and neither of us can walk out of our dots because we're bouncing off of each other. So that was nice there. And
Yeah, good tactics.
yeah. Yeah, I like that with the ocean spots. That's also why I wanted Koryaks early too, because if I have 2 dots here, I can bounce them off of any spot and like get a guaranteed cut anytime I want while holding both of my dots. So that's why I like
Yeah.
a second ocean dot. But Tasnica.
All right, let's take a look at Europe. So Russia is continuing to get eaten by Safavid, while I make true on my promise to be the world's most frustrating person to invade. He gets nothing. I mean, he makes no progress. And my constant press with Sweden finally pays off. After turn of like, Sweden, come on, I'm trying to make something work here. He finally stabs Russia. He does keep Lubeck. But he stabs Russia. And he hits Austria as well. Does not get Bremen.
Yeah.
But now Sweden is fighting both of my other enemies, which is fantastic. This is a very big improvement from the previous status quo. So
Yeah, that's
Europe
good.
is looking like it's going to survive for now.
He could attack you for Brandenburg here too, especially if he knows Austria's doing that. Like he could just cut, and then support in.
Oh yeah. But it turns out that not gunboating people can, on occasion, pay off.
Yeah.
Sometimes press works.
Just gotta keep trying.
Oh yeah. Never give up. Never surrender. Let's take a look at Africa. So now is probably a good time to talk about my relationships with England and France. So I've been talking a lot with England and France this entire game, and basically trying to play matchmaker with them because they are constantly fighting each other. And it's been a big headache. And France, while initially one of the most promising players I was doing press with, over the course of the first several years of the game, I kind of like got more and more hints that he wasn't exactly on my side, more that he was just kind of playing everyone off against each other, and not in a, oh, I'm just chatting with all your enemies and, being sympathetic to them, but ultimately, I'll side with you, or, more of the, oh no, I'm totally undermining you behind your back and will absolutely turn on you once we're at that step in my grand plan.
Yeah.
So I basically become less genuine with France. I basically stopped looking out for his interests, because he's certainly not looking out for mine. And when I agree to have a bounce with him in St. Louis to stop Portugal, I pass it on to Portugal and arrange for Portugal to support me in. Definitely a surprise, definitely unexpected. What a terrible twist of fate that France gets ejected from Africa here.
Aw.
But he was doomed anyway. My trust in him was eroding anyway. And if he's losing those dots, I'd like to have one, please.
Yep, makes sense.
Meanwhile, me and England agree to both get second cores. So I'm like, hey, I'm coring. You should core too. And England's like, that's a good idea. And so we both core in the fall, which is awesome because fall cores are fun.
Yep, get the build for next winter if you need it.
Let's take a look at the Caribbean. So the Dutch, of course, cover Parmerbel. I was worried that he might bounce himself and thus stay in Orinoco, which is an awkward spot. So I asked England to support the Dutch into Parmerbel
Nice.
to get his fleet out of the way and also ensure he can't build there. And England being, increasingly my good buddy, because, again, while there is still an EF at this point, and I'm encouraging them to work together, my press with England has felt a lot more genuine. Like, I've genuinely trusted England more and found him more sincere, and, gotten the impression that he's actually cares about both of our interests rather than just setting me up to be discarded later.
Mm-hmm.
So I am increasingly poor England and doing little things with them like, oh, we'll do these cores. We'll mess with the Dutch this way. And of course, I finally get Caracas back.
Nice.
The revenge arc has begun. They forced it when they had the chance, and I forced it right back.
I don't think I
Yeah,
realized
I had a
before
chance.
seeing all these moves like that the Poland Caribbean colony didn't just start off like going ham.
Oh, no, God, no. I spent my first year getting kicked out of my second dot.
Yeah.
And having the entire board and also most of the spectators being like, wow, what awful play from Tasnica.
Yeah.
Poland, especially the Polish Caribbean, is going to get completely wrecked. Nice job showing us how not to play diplomacy, loser.
I can relate. Respect chat.
We'll see how well I manage from here. But at the very least, I did manage to get Caracas back.
Nice.
Yay.
Yeah. And then anything else happening interesting on the board? Those two are still attacking Inuit. South America triples looking good.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Looks
Congo tries to
like
core St. Helena, but gets tapped.
Azeron and Portugal start working together this turn.
Can you look at the Mughal Safavid border? I'm kind of curious. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Safavids continue to pop the hell off.
Yep. Hammer into Russia.
Yeah, how many dots did they pick?
1, 2,
definitely
3, 4.
Yeah. Yep, they just continue to do well.
Yeah.
I think at a certain point they looked pretty much unstoppable. I think they were definitely my favorites to win the game for a while.
Yeah, I wrote in my void. They were like my solo threat at a certain point. I thought they were the most likely to solo, and then I think I also put like I would be very shocked if they lost the game.
Yeah, I think at a certain point they just didn't know what to do with the position. Unfortunately.
Yeah,
But-
there's one year that happens where it just like totally shifts the momentum.
Yeah, it's I think it's when they get 2 disbands and
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's spoilers, but yeah. We'll talk about that later.
Madagascar, the French just get completely wrecked by Portugal.
Yep.
Because Portugal recruits Adran as a vassal.
Yep.
And
That's the start.
Adran goes from about to die to suddenly strengthening the Portuguese position quite a bit.
Yeah, Ageron's third to bottom here. At this point.
I'm being
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the French colonies are just melting.
Yeah.
All right. Should we wrap it up there? Or?
Yeah, let's
I
wrap it
think
up.
so. I don't think there's anything else left to talk about.
All right.
Until next time.
We'll close it there. Thanks for watching, everyone. And yeah.
Catch you in the next one.
See you next
more,
time.
More fun tactics in Central Asia.
The Pumpkin Cup will return.